to the second half of day 1 for our 2-day free webinar series entitled Convergence and Divergence of Food Science and Food Safety. Now we will go ahead with the second session for the day with the topic Government Initiatives to Combat Filipino Lifestyle Diseases. I would like to remind our dear participants regarding our house rules to follow during our webinar proper. This seminar is being live streamed on Zoom, YouTube, and the PWU Facebook page. Reminders for proper identification, kindly follow the proper name format, affiliation / full name. For example, ABC Corporation / Juan de la Cruz. Second, make sure your audio is muted to avoid unnecessary noise. Third, if you have questions or concerns, kindly write them down in the chat boxes and this will be answered by the speakers during the open forum session. Lastly, fill out the evaluation link after each session for the issuance of the e-certificate of attendance. Okay, before we start with
Recording
the
in
webinar
progress.
proper, let me call on Sir Ryan for a little game to start the ball rolling. Sir Ryan?
All right, Ma'am Ellie, no? Let's keep us the ball rolling and again to have a chance to win GCash. So before we start, I would like to remind the winners from the previous game, please send to me the screenshot together with your name and GCash number. Again, okay, so let's play again for our second Kahoot. To join this game, please grab an extra cell phone or any device that has an internet connection. Kindly click the link in the link comments section or scan the QR code and enter your nickname. So the top 3 will get a GCash prize. The top 1 will receive 300 pesos. The top 2 will get 200 pesos. And the top 3 will get 100 pesos. Okay, so let's wait for our Kahoot to play. There is a technical error. Okay, so please take note that this game can only accommodate only 100 participants. Okay, so this game is to assess your pre-knowledge for the topic for this session. Okay, so you will be given only 30 seconds to answer each question by choosing the right answer. Again, this is a game of speed and accuracy. Okay, so winners must send the screenshot of the podium winner along with their full name and GCash number to my Facebook Messenger account, Ryan B. Cabanatan. Okay, let me check how many entered the game already. Okay, so we have now 5. Okay, let's wait for additional participants. Again, the top 1 will receive 300 pesos, the top 2 will get 200 pesos, and the top 3 will get 100 pesos. Okay, una-unahan na lang po because it's only accommodate 100 participants. Okay, so how many players do we have? We have 16 players. So let's wait for more. No? Okay, yun. They are increasing. We have increasing number of participants. We have now 22. Okay. So for the winners from the previous game, please send to me your screenshot together your name and GCash number to get your award. Okay? Do we have enough participants? Okay, meron na tayong 26 participants. I think we can start now the game, Ma'am Therese. Okay, so now let's start the game. For again, this is a pre-test for this session. For the first question, out of 7, these are synthetic compounds or chemically modified version of natural substances to sweeten the product. These are synthetic compounds or chemically modified version of natural substances to sweeten the product. Red, artificial sweeteners. Blue, nature identical flavor. Yellow, natural sweetener. Or green, artificial flavorings. Okay, so the correct answer is artificial sweeteners. Okay, so for our first question, our leading scholar is BTY, followed by Lawrence and Gigi. Okay, for the next question, please. Which is not a characteristics of sugar substitute? Which is not a characteristics of sugar substitute? Red, low to no calories. Blue, can be used in variety of foods. Orange, no metabolic effect of sugar. Or green, tastes as sweet as table sugar. Okay, so the correct answer is tastes as sweet as table sugar. Okay, so our leading scholar is still Ziggy. Okay, so for our next question, how does the trans fat differ from the other types of dietary fat? How does the trans fat differ from other types of dietary fat? Red, it is liquid at room temperature. Blue, it is naturally found in most meats. Orange, it is increases good HDL cholesterol levels. Green, it can raise bad LDL cholesterol levels. Okay, so the correct answer is color green. Okay, our score leaderboard still Ziggy. Okay, followed by 1 BTY and Pau. Let's move on the fourth question, Ma'am Therese. Okay, for our fourth question, obesity and the cancer are the risk from trans fat. True or false? Obesity and cancer are the risk from trans fat. True or false? The correct answer is blue. It's true. Okay, so for our scoreboard leader, we have still Zig, followed by 1 BT1. Okay. So next question, please. Okay, so we have a technical problem on our internet, but the game is still continue. No, let's wait for us for a moment. For okay, so yes, we have 5 questions. Okay, let's now move on the next question, Ma'am Therese. Our top scorer is Ziggy, followed by BTY and Pau. Habol pa po, Jem and Mars. Okay, for our 6th question, in what foods do we usually found trans fat? In what foods do we usually found trans fat? Red, fruits and vegetable. Blue, fast food and processed food. Orange, meat and fish. Or green, water. In what foods do we usually found trans fat? Okay, so the correct answer is color blue. Can be found from fast food and processed food. So our score leaders still Ziggy, BTY, and Pau. You still have time, James and Mars. Habol pa po. And for our last question, the following are diseases are linked to high consumption of free sugar, except the following are diseases are linked to the high consumption of free sugar, except red dental caries, blue obesity, orange wrist and non-communicable disease, and green muscle pain. So the following are diseases that are linked to high consumption of free sugar, except it's muscle pain. Okay, so we have now winners. So congratulations to Piggy, Pau, and Jem. No, si Jem nakahabol, no, for being the most accurate and quick participants today. For our winners, please don't forget to screenshot the winner podium and send it to my FB Messenger, Ryan Cabanatan, together with your full name and GCash number. Again, congratulations everyone. That ends our second Kahoot, Ma'am Ellie.
Yes. It was fun a way of learning new things, Ryan. I can see how competitive our participants are. I can hardly compete with them in typing. So to continue our webinar series, let me introduce to you our second moderator for this afternoon, Mr. Ronnie Baclas. He is a graduate of BS Food Technology and Entrepreneurship and is currently connected at Batangas State University as Instructor 3. Let us welcome Sir Ronnie, and for the participants, let us all have an open mind and listen to the speakers of Session 2. Sir Ronnie?
Good afternoon, everyone, especially to our speakers and audiences from different platforms. So we have from Zoom, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. Welcome to this session entitled Government Initiatives to Combat Filipino Lifestyle Diseases. In this session, there will be three important interrelated topics from our esteemed speakers. So I will not keep you waiting to start. Our first speaker will be talking about trans fat in Filipino diets, awareness of health effects. She will be discussing about the danger and healthier alternatives of trans fat in the human diet. Our speaker is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Food Technology from the Visayas State University and has 4 years of experience in quality control and quality assurance and 11 years as a university professor at Cebu Technological University. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Anjin Pleiades Cabrera.
Thank you, Sir Ronnie. A pleasant and wonderful afternoon, everyone. Who among us here love to eat fast food like donuts, French fries, pizzas, burgers, cakes, and pastries, and of course, ice cream? So may you please raise your virtual hands or give a virtual thumbs up? So thank you for your reactions. I see a lot of you agreed that each one of us crave these foods once in a while. We choose to eat these foods because it tastes good to us, and also eating good food with our family and friends is one of the pleasures of life. However, it is not just about the taste. Little did we know that some of our food choices are making us sick. So with this, let me present to you trans fat in Filipino diets, awareness of health effects. So for our discussion, we will be talking about understanding trans fat, the risk that we'll be taking in consuming foods with trans fat, promoting awareness and healthier alternatives to trans fat. So what are trans fats? So trans fat or trans fatty acids, these are unsaturated fatty acids that come from either natural or industrial sources. So the naturally occurring trans fat come from ruminants. So these are the cows, sheep, or goats. While the industrially produced trans fat, these are formed in an industrial process that adds hydrogen to vegetable oil, converting the liquid into a solid and resulting in a partially hydrogenated oil, or what we call as PHOs. So these PHOs, they are the main source of industrially produced trans fat. It is a common ingredient in many foods, including margarines, vegetable shortening, and vanaspati ghee. Also, they could be found in fried foods and donuts, baked goods such as crackers, biscuits, and pies, and pre-mixed products such as pancake and hot cake mix. So, baked and fried street food and restaurant foods often contain industrially produced trans fat. But all of these products, they can be made without this industrially produced trans fat. Oh. In the late 19th century, chemists, they discovered that they could add hydrogen atoms to unsaturated fats by bubbling hydrogen gas through vegetable oil in the presence of a nickel catalyst. So as a result, hydrogen atoms add to one or more carbon-carbon double bonds to form carbon-carbon single bonds. So in commercial hydrogenation, the addition of hydrogen is stopped before all of the double bonds in the liquid vegetable oil become saturated. So the complete hydrogenation, it gives a brittle product. So whereas partial hydrogenation of the liquid vegetable oil changes it to a soft, semi-solid fat. And by controlling the amount of hydrogen added, manufacturers can produce various types of products such as soft margarines, solid stick margarines, and solid shortenings. The partial hydrogenated oils, they don't turn rancid as easily as non-hydrogenated fats. They can withstand repeated heating without breaking down, and the process can turn a liquid oil into a solid, which allowed for easier transportation and wider uses. So this solid fat was also much less expensive than many solid animal fats, such as butter. So these characteristics were very attractive to food makers. And partially hydrogenated oils become a mainstay in margarines, in vegetable shortenings, donuts, commercial baked products like packaged pastries and cookies, and other snack foods, and also in fast food restaurant deep fryers. So all of the nutrients fat is the most often linked with heart diseases, some types of cancer, and obesity. So most people realize that elevated blood cholesterol is a major risk factor for cardiovascular diseases, or CVD. Cholesterol accumulates in the arteries, restricting the blood flow and raising the blood pressure. The consequences are very deadly. So in fact, heart disease is the nation's #1 killer of adults. Blood cholesterol level is often used to predict the likelihood of a person's suffering a heart attack or a stroke. The higher the cholesterol, the earlier or more likely the tragedy to happen. And much of the effort to prevent heart disease focuses on lowering the blood cholesterol. In the body, we have trans fatty acids. They alter the blood cholesterol. So they raise our LDL, or our bad cholesterol, and at high intakes, they lower our HDL, so our good cholesterol. Slide. So fat, it contributes more than twice as many kilocalories per gram as either carbohydrate or protein. Consequently, people who eat high-fat diets regularly may exceed their energy needs and gain weight, especially if they are inactive. And because fat boosts energy intake, cutting fat from the diet can be an effective strategy in cutting our kilocalories. But in some cases, though, choosing a fat-free food offers no kilocalorie savings. Fat-free frozen desserts, for example, often have so much sugar added that the kilocalorie count can be as high as in the regular fat products. So in this case, cutting fat and adding carbohydrate offers no kilocalorie savings or weight loss advantage. And in fact, it may even rise energy intake and exacerbate weight problems. And later on, one of my co-presenter will elaborate more on sugar substitutes, raising awareness for sweet and safe choices. So another risk of having too much fat is less convincing than too much fat in the diet is having cancer. So although the evidence for links between dietary fats and cancer is less convincing than that for heart disease, the dietary fat does not seem to initiate cancer development, but instead it may promote cancer once it has arisen. The relationship between dietary fat and the risk of cancer differs for various types of cancer. Also, the relationship between dietary fat and the risk of cancer also differs for various types and combinations of fats as well. So the World Health Organization, they developed an action package termed as REPLACE. So a short for review, promote, legislate, assess, create, and enforce. So this supports the government's efforts to ensure the prompt, complete, and sustained elimination of industrially produced trans fat from the food supply. The practical 6-step package calls for the promotion and of use and consumption of healthier fats and oils. Also the elimination of industrially produced trans fats to be achieved through regulatory actions while establishing solid monitoring systems and creating awareness among policymakers, producers, suppliers, and the public. So another co-presenter of mine will also discuss the government's initiatives to combat Filipino lifestyle diseases. Some fats in our diet is essential for our good health. But too much fat, especially saturated and trans fat, increases the risk for chronic diseases. So the American Heart Association recommends that adults who would benefit from lowering their LDL cholesterol reduce their intake of trans fat and limit their consumption of saturated fat to 5 to 6% of total calories. So here are some ways to achieve that. First is to eat a dietary pattern that emphasizes fruits, vegetables, whole grains, low-fat dairy products, poultry, fish, and nuts. Also, limit eating red meat and sugary foods and beverages. Use naturally occurring unhydrogenated vegetable oils such as canola, safflower, sunflower, or olive oil most often. Look for processed foods made with unhydrogenated oil rather than the partially hydrogenated or hydrogenated vegetable oils or saturated fat. Use soft margarine as a substitute for butter and choose soft margarines over harder stick forms. And then look for 0-gram trans fat on the nutrition facts label and no hydrogenated oils in the ingredients list. Also, donuts, cookies, crackers, muffins, pies, and cakes are examples of food that may contain trans fat. So we should also limit how frequently we eat them. Another is to limit commercially fried foods and baked goods made with shortening or partially hydrogenated vegetable oils. So not only are these foods very high in fat, but that fat is most also likely to be trans fat. So in conclusion, some fats in the diet is necessary, but health authorities like the American Heart Association recommends a diet moderate in total fat and low in saturated fat, trans fat, and cholesterol. They also recommend replacing saturated fats with monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, particularly those with omega-3 fatty acids from foods such as fatty fish. Many selection and preparation strategies can also help bring these goals within reach, and food labels help identify foods consistent with these guidelines. So thank you for listening. For further reading on the topics presented, here are the references.
Let's give Ma'am Anjin a virtual round of applause for that very informative presentation about trans fat. Personally, I am a vegetarian person, but of course, we cannot deny the fact that there are times that we cannot resist foods containing trans fat just to satisfy our cravings. Perhaps we call it a balanced diet. Let us hear more on how to be healthy from our second speaker, who will be presenting sugar substitutes, raising awareness for safe and sweet choices. Quite an interesting topic, right? I am excited to learn how can I replace sugar in my diet too. But before I turn you over to our second speaker, let me give you first a brief background about her. Our second speaker is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Biology from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. She has been working in the food quality assurance field since 2013 and has experience in both manufacturing and restaurant quality assurance. She is currently working as a food regulatory compliance specialist in one of the well-known company here in the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming our second speaker, Miss April Joy Hinugen. Take it away, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Sir Ronnie, for that introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. At some point in our lives, we have craved for something sweet, right? And that is what I will be talking about in this session: sugar substitutes, raising awareness for your safe and sweet choices. Together, we'll uncover the sweetness, the safety, and the choices of your sugar substitutes. So in this presentation, I will discuss what sugar is and why do we need to reduce our sugar intake. What is a sugar substitute, the types of sugar substitutes, and their uses. We will also get to know how the government regulates these substances. And finally, let's see the new guidelines given by the World Health Organization on the use of non-sugar sweeteners. Before we dive deeper with the sugar substitutes, let's first understand the sugar and its effects on our diet. So sugar is a form of a simple carbohydrate which is generally associated with sweetness. Sugars can be naturally found in our foods such as milk, fruits, and vegetables. But when we hear the word sugar, for sure the first thing that would come to our mind is the sweet, white crystal granules we all know as table sugar or the white sugar. But there are lots of kinds of sugar such as muscovado and cocoa sugar, and a lot more. So these types of sugars that I have mentioned are substances we intentionally add into our food to intensify its sweetness. This added sugar plus sugars naturally present in honey, syrups, and fruit juice concentrates are called free sugars. However, consuming sugars had been part of our culture. So for example, to celebrate a happy occasion, we buy something sweet such as cakes, ice creams, and chocolates. In fact, according to FNRI, consumptions of sugary foods such as brown sugar, chocolate-flavored drinks, and soft drinks were common in children's ages 6 to 12 years old, while 2 in 10 adults were consuming sugar-sweetened beverages with energy sports drink as the most commonly consumed. So all of these foods have free sugars. Consuming sugars has risk. A high consumption of free sugar has been linked with dental caries or tooth decay. Also, sugar increases our overall energy intake, which may reduce the intake of foods containing more nutritionally adequate calories, leading to poor dietary quality. And this poor dietary quality could lead to obesity and the risk of non-communicable diseases such as diabetes. Diabetes and the government's intervention to help combat it will be further discussed by my co-presenter later. Let's focus more on the free sugar. So in 2015, WHO released a guideline for the intake of free sugar, wherein they recommend to reduce the intake of free sugar throughout our life course. In both adults and children, they recommend to reduce the intake of free sugar to less than 10% of our total energy intake. So this is a strong recommendation by WHO, which means they have a conclusive evidence on the negative health effects of high consumptions of free sugar. As mentioned earlier, consuming sweet foods has been part of our diet. So with this, there has been a growing interest on the use of sugar substitutes. So let's go now to the sugar substitutes. They are sweeteners that are used as replacement in food and beverages. They can impart sweet taste but has low to no calories, also without the metabolic effects of sugar, such as increasing glucose in our blood. Hence, they have been associated with weight loss or maintenance of healthy weight and are frequently recommended as means of controlling blood glucose in individuals with diabetes. So where can we see or where can we use these sugar substitutes? So sugar substitutes are now being used in a variety of foods, so particularly beverage. Since sugar-sweetened beverages, as mentioned earlier, is commonly consumed by adults. Other uses are in pastries, jams, jellies, and marmalades, candies and candied fruit, ice creams, and other edible ices. It can also be used as direct substitute to our normal table sugar. So the sugar substitutes that we will explore today are artificial sweeteners, plant and fruit-based sweeteners, and the sugar alcohols or polyols. First up, we have the artificial sweeteners. They are synthetic compound or chemically modified versions of natural substances. They are hundreds or 1,000 times sweeter than our regular table sugar, hence does not require large amount to be able to sweeten the food. So some examples are shown in your screen, such as aspartame, acesulfame potassium or ACE, saccharin, sucralose, advantame, cyclamates, and neotame. So these artificial sweeteners are widely used as alternative to sugar in beverages. If you're familiar with soft drinks labeled as light or diet, so most likely they have used these artificial sweeteners, particularly aspartame or ACE. So in addition, sucralose has been widely known as used as sugar substitute to our regular table sugar. So next we have the plant and fruit-based sweeteners. So as the name implies, they are sweeteners derived from various plant sources such as fruits, flowers, and tree saps. The prominent sweetener stevia is a steviol glycoside obtained from the leaves of the stevia plant. Other plant and fruit-based sweeteners is the lauhango or the monk fruit and taumatin. They are commonly used as direct substitute to the regular table sugar. So I'm sure most of you have seen this as they are now widely available in groceries and supermarkets. So last on our list is the sugar alcohols or polyols. They are organic compounds that have both the characteristics of sugar and alcohol. They are low in calorie, occur naturally in some foods, but are often produced through industrial process for use as sugar substitute. They are not widely used in home food preparation, but can be found in many processed food. So for examples are xylitol, erythritol, sorbitol, and mannitol. So for visualization, this is just a comparison of some sugar substitute as compared to our regular table sugar. So this is from the US FDA, and as you can see, aspartame and ACE are 200 times sweeter than the sugar, while sucralose is 600 times sweeter. Stevia is 200 to 400 times sweeter than table sugar. So now we know that there are a lot of options to replace sugar. However, these sweeteners are not exempted with controversies. One of which is cyclamates. So they are banned in the US because previous studies suggested that it can cause cancer. Subsequent reviews of those experimental data and evaluation of additional data has led scientists to conclude that cyclamates does not cause cancer. But still, it has not been reapproved in the United States. Currently, cyclamates is still a permitted food additives based on the Codex General Standard for Food Additives. So another recent controversy surrounding sugar substitute is the result of the risk assessment of aspartame by the International Agency for Cancer Research, or IARC. So by the way, IARC is the cancer research arm of the WHO. So IARC classifies different compounds into 4 categories relating to cancer. So in this new risk assessment, aspartame was placed under Group 2B, which is classified as possible carcinogenic to human. Being placed in this category means that there is a limited evidence for cancer in humans. So in fact, US FDA does not agree with this result, while the JECFA, the Food Additives Assessment Arm of the WHO and FAO, did not change the acceptable daily intake of aspartame. So just to stress out, aspartame is not banned, it is still permitted, it is just classified as possible carcinogenic, but still with limited evidence. So these sugar substitutes are actually considered as food additives. And to regulate food additives, we have the joint FAO and WHO expert committees on food additives, or JECFA. So they are responsible for evaluating the safety of food additives, including sweeteners, at the international level. So they conduct risk assessment, they set the acceptable daily intake, and they influence international standards through bodies like Codex Alimentarius Commission. So in the Philippine setup, we have adopted various codex standards in accordance with the regulations that you can see on your screens. Basically, we use these guidelines to determine acceptability of the sweetener, if it's permitted, and what is the maximum allowable limit that can be added to food. We also have regulations to ensure that they are declared on the list of ingredients and claims are not misleading. So speaking of claims, sugar-free or no sugar added, let us know the difference. Yan. So for a manufacturer to claim that the food or beverage is sugar-free, so the product must contain only 0.5 grams per 100 grams if solid or 100 ml if liquid. So while to claim non-addition of sugar, they must meet these following conditions. So there must be no sugar ingredient. There must also be no ingredient that has added sugar or high concentrations of sugar, and the sugar content of the food itself has not been increased. So example is the use of enzymes to hydrolyze starches to release sugar. Let's also have a look at the price comparison of table sugar we commonly use at home versus the sugar substitutes that are present currently at the market, such as sucralose and stevia. So as you can see, sugar substitutes are much more expensive in the market. But remember, as I have said earlier, that sugar substitutes are way sweeter. So even if they are costly, you only need smaller quantity to be able to sweeten the food. So later, another presenter in this afternoon session of our webinar will talk more about a sugar tax and how it is being used to combat Filipino lifestyle diseases. So now we know the risk of high consumption of free sugar. However, it is just one of the many possible factors in acquiring non-communicable diseases. Another factor was discussed earlier, the trans fat. So in our quest to lower our free sugar intake, so we know that we have a possible sugar substitutes. So they are low to no calories, they have no metabolic effects of sugars, and can be used in variety of foods. Recently, WHO released the guidelines on the use of non-sugar sweeteners. So they suggested that non-sugar sweeteners do not be used as means of achieving weight control or in reducing the risk of non-communicable diseases. So these guidelines does not include sugar alcohols and is applicable to both healthy children and adults, including pregnant women and lactating women. So if you have conditions such as obesity or diabetes, it is still best to consult your dietitian or doctor for the management of your sugars or sweets intake. So if you are interested to learn more about this topic, I'm sharing with you my references. So thank you very much for listening and have a sweet day.
It was such a very informative and engaging discussion about sugar and sugar substitute, Mom April. Just a friendly reminder to our dear participants about sweets. Indeed, sweets are really part of Filipino culture. For Filipinos, our meal wouldn't be complete without sweets or desserts. Just slow down, as I believe we become what we eat. So if we do not want to face consequences as we aged, self-discipline is the key before it's too late. Well, sweets can help ease our hunger, but we must know that anything that is too much is not good for our health, and that everything should be taken moderately. At this juncture, let us now proceed to the introduction of our last speaker. Our last speaker will be talking about the current Philippine regulation to address lifestyle diseases. So his topic will focus on the regulation of trans fats and sugar in Filipino processed foods. He is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from the Centro Escolar University, Manila, and he has over 20 years of experience in the food manufacturing industry, specializing in powdered milk operations. Having been trained in Sri Lanka and Indonesia, he is lauded by the industry leaders for his contribution to the company and its international clients in the aspects of quality assurance and quality control, regulatory, food safety management, training, and environmental management. He is currently the production manager of a tool manufacturer in Cainta, Rizal. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Mr. Eddie Boy D. Navarro. Sir Eddie?
Thank you very much, Sir Ronnie, for that generous introduction. Greetings to everyone and welcome to the last topic of the second session. I hope you had your lunch and I wish for your kind attention. I would like to start this off by thanking the School of Food Science and Technology, led by the Dean and Program Chair, Dr. Ligaya Braganza, and our professors, Ms. Rosalinda Lorilla and Ms. Maria Divina Alcazabas, for providing us with this platform to reach out to our audience in building up our narrative for today's relevant and current topics on food science and technology. As a master's student, my expertise on this topic may be limited. That is why we would also like the audience to share in the discussion by typing in the chat boxes their comments, disagreements, additional information, and clarifications. As mentioned in the introduction, I am not from the government, nor am I representing their views on this session. I am just a regular employee from the private sector who today will be discussing how the government protects and supports its citizens regarding food choices. With that being said, let us start creating meaningful conversation. In the first part of this session, we have learned from my co-presenters about trans fat and sugar. You may be wondering, what is the significance of high sugar and trans fat consumption to lifestyle diseases? Well, you see, in our favorite processed and fast foods, sugar and trans fat are always used in combination. Take the example of our beloved donuts. Deep fried dough raised with either margarine, butter, or shortening, and filled with sweet pastry cream or fruit-flavored jelly, then coated with sweet chocolate. So it's trans fat and sugar heaven in one bite. Then there's our favorite breads and pastries, cakes, burgers and fries, and don't forget ice cream. Probably that is why diabetes, hypertension, and heart diseases are often experienced together. In fact, according to the latest Philippine Statistics Authority data on the leading causes of deaths in the Philippines for 2021 and 2022, the top 5 causes may be linked to our food poor choices. Leading the list is ischemic heart diseases, also known as coronary heart diseases, which occurs when the heart is not getting enough blood and oxygen and is caused by narrowed heart arteries that supply blood to the heart. Next, we have cerebrovascular diseases, which refers to a group of conditions that affect blood flow and blood vessels in the brain. Examples of these include stroke and aneurysm. Third is neoplasms, which is more commonly known as tumors, an abnormal growth of tissue that can be benign or non-cancerous, or malignant, which is cancerous. Fourth, we have diabetes mellitus, which refers to a group of diseases that affect how the body uses blood sugar. And lastly is hypertensive diseases. Untreated hypertension may lead to serious health problems such as coronary artery disease and heart attack. The diabetes data in the Philippines from the International Diabetes Federation reveals that in 2021, out of 66 million total adult population, there are about 4,300,000 total cases of diabetes in adults. While the obesity data in the Philippines from the 2021 DOST FNRI Expanded National Nutrition Survey says that 1 in every 10 school-age children is overweight, and 1 in every 10 adolescents is overweight and obese. 4 in every 10 non-pregnant, non-lactating women are overweight and obese. 4 in 10 adults are overweight and obese, and 14.4% of them have elevated blood pressure, which is significantly higher among males. While 3 in 10 elderly are overweight or obese, and 33.4% of them have elevated blood pressure. What we can surmise from the data is that obesity is a growing issue spread among all income classes, gender, age, and location. Comparing this data from 2015 to 2021 shows increase of prevalence. As a foodie person in my early 40s who fits all the check boxes, I am diabetic, overweight, and hypertensive. I am very eagerly interested on the government's strategies how to address these lifestyle diseases through regulations. So first, we will be discussing relevant to us as consumers, portions of the sugar-sweetened beverage or the SSB tax as embodied in RA 10963, more commonly known as the Train Law, which was implemented on January 1, 2018. Did you know that the Philippines ranked 11th worldwide in the consumption of soft drinks? In fact, the World Health Organization stated that in 2009, Filipinos consumed around 1.6 billion liters of soft drinks, while the FNRI lists the most common consumed products with sugar, including the 3-in-1 coffee, powdered milk, pandesal, soft drinks, and chocolate-flavored drinks. So we then ask ourselves, there are so many foods containing sugar, so why was an excise tax on SSB imposed? Firstly, to discourage consumption. Since it is more expensive, less people can afford it. Next, to encourage consumption of healthier products. It is expected that switching to healthier products is a better option. Next, to raise public awareness of harms. Public campaigns on diabetes and obesity will inform of the risk of consumption. Next, to the incentive for industry to develop healthier products because lower taxes are imposed on non-sugar containing beverages. And lastly, to raise revenues for health and education. Funds generated from this tax will be used for government health projects. So now, also we ask why tax the sugar-sweetened beverages and not the sugar directly? First, it is unnecessary because SSBs have empty calories and little or no nutritional value. They do not replace rice or food. And we do not tell our children to drink them every day because they are healthy. Next, it is affordable, especially to the poor and youth, and sometimes it is more cheaper than water. And last is it is accessible, available in almost every corner, often not aware of the consequences. This is why the SSB tax is a matter of public policy. The Bureau of Internal Revenue issued the Revenue Regulations number 20-2018 to define the sweetened beverages to refer to non-alcoholic beverages of any kind. So it can be liquid, powder, or concentrates that are pre-packaged and sealed to contain caloric and or non-caloric sweeteners added by the manufacturers, such as sweetened juice drinks, which includes the natural fruit juices or the artificially flavored juices. Also, the sweetened teas, such as iced teas, fruit flavored or artificial flavored. All carbonated beverages, flavored water, energy and sports drinks, which includes electrolyte drinks and protein drinks. Other powdered drinks not classified as milk, juice, tea, and coffee. So which includes the gulaman or the buko pandan premixes. Cereal and grain beverages such as oat, almond, and nut beverages. And other non-alcoholic beverages that contain added sugar such as milk teas, shakes, and smoothies. So currently, there are 3 tiers of the SSB tax. So the first one is 6 pesos per liter if you are using sugar and or artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners were discussed a while ago by my co-presenter. Next is 12 pesos per liter if you are using high fructose corn syrup and or sugar and or artificial sweeteners, because high fructose corn syrup is linked to obesity. And lastly, tax exempt if using purely coconut sap sugar and purely steviol glycosides. So coconut sap sugar is a healthier and lower glycemic index type of sugar, while steviol glycosides, commonly known as stevia, is a plant-based sugar substitute. So the SSB tax are paid upfront by manufacturers and ultimately passed on to us consumers. No wonder why our favorite beverages became more and more expensive. However, there are also some exemptions, such as all milk products, which includes flavored milk such as chocolate milk, strawberry milk, and also fermented milks, as long as it complies with the definition of milk by Codex Alimentarius. Next is soy milk and flavored soy milk. Also exempted are 100% natural fruit juices. However, any amount of sugar that is incorporated will render the beverage excisable. The same case with 100% natural vegetable juices. Also exempted are the meal replacement and medically indicated beverages. And lastly, ground coffee, instant soluble coffee, and pre-packages powdered coffee products, which includes the 3-in-1 coffee mixes. So let's play an exercise on the SSB tax. Let us see if you have understood what we have presented a while ago. So there are images on your screen. So the first image on your right is a sugar sweetened juice. So that you can see on the picture, the sweeteners that are placed there. There seems to be a problem with my internet connection. Okay, so we'll proceed. So with the first picture, you can see that the sweetener used is sugar and it has stevia. So based on our discussion, the tax should be 6 pesos per liter, because even though that it has contained stevia, it still has sugar. So if it has sugar, the tax will be 6 pesos. Do you agree? You can put your comments on the chat boxes. The second picture is a water flavor. It is a flavored water sample, which includes the sweeteners used. So, do you agree that the sweeteners will be given that amount of tax? It is how much is the tax? It is 0. No, it is. Do you agree with that? It is 0 because it contains only steviol glycosides. Okay, so the next example is also a flavored water. But the flavored water indicates that it uses acesulfame or sucralose in their ingredient. So how much is the tax? So the tax is still 6 pesos because it contains the artificial sweeteners. The next example is a type of sugar sweetened beverage which has high fructose corn syrup. So the tax that will be paid for this is 12 pesos per liter. And lastly, we have an example of a flavored soy drink which contains sugar. So the tax that will be paid for this type of product is 0 because soy milk and flavored soy milk are exempted. So how many of you got the tax computations? So I hope you understood the applications of the SSB taxes. Moving along. So based on the imposed taxes by the government, how did the industry reacted to the new SSB taxes? So the first one would be majority of manufacturers reformulated their products. So they shifted basically from using high fructose corn syrup to just sugar and or sugar alternatives to avoid the 12 pesos tax. So now they only pay the 6 pesos. Second would be other manufacturers repackaged their products into smaller sizes. So initially, it was thought that these pack sizes were intended for children. However, it was produced to limit the sugar tax. So in this case, the smaller the pack, the better. And lastly, while others expanded into the untaxed beverages, remember that 100% fruit juices and 100% vegetable juices are tax exempted. So among the successes of the SSB tax, the government raises at least $2 million or 105 million pesos every day from taxes on sugar-sweetened beverages as the country relies on fiscal reforms to generate revenue to finance its pandemic recovery. While taxes on sugar-sweetened beverage and other raised revenues for the Universal Health Care Program and ensured the country against the impact of the pandemic. Also, the Philippine SSB tax was even cited by the UNICEF as one of the successful SSB taxes from around the world. So as a review of our learnings, the Philippines introduced the sugar-sweetened beverage tax effective last January 1, 2018 to help address high diabetes and obesity in the country. Number 2, SSB is unnecessary because it has empty calories and with little or no nutritional value, and excessive consumption is linked to diabetes and obesity. Number 3, there are 3 tiers of the SSB tax: 6 pesos per liter, 12 pesos per liter, or 0 pesos because of exemptions. Number 4, the government raises at least $2 million or 105 million pesos every day from the taxes on SSBs. The UNICEF in 2023 recognized the Philippines SSB tax as one of the examples of successful taxes from around the world. So, what an eye-opening session. I hope you have learned a few things today. I am excited to see some of your sharing on the chat boxes later. All right then. We continue on with the second regulation, which is the guidelines for prepackaged processed food products containing trans fatty acids. So basically, the guidelines on trans fat prohibition issued by the FDA stems from the Department of Health issued Administrative Order number 2021-39 entitled The National Policy on the Elimination of Industrially Produced Trans Fatty Acid for the Prevention and Control of Non-Communicable Diseases, last June 18, 2021, and is effective on June 18, 2023, 2 years after the issuance of the FDA guidelines. To continue with our discussion, let us first define some key terms. So when we say high trans fatty acids content, it refers to the content of more than 2 grams per 100 grams or 100 ml of total fat. Industrially produced trans fatty acids or IPTFA refers to the artificial trans fat that is developed through the partial hydrogenation of oils. Also, it is developed in small amounts through reheating and frying of oils at high temperatures. Next, we have naturally occurring trans fatty acids, which refers to trans fatty acids that are found in meat and dairy products from ruminant animals such as cattle, sheep, goats, and camel. And lastly, the partially hydrogenated oil or PHO, which refers to the processed products that contain IPTFA, which are typically used to increase shelf life and ensure the flavor stability of oils. So the general guideline stresses that PHO is the one that is now prohibited. So remember that. So that's PHO, the partially hydrogenated oil, is now prohibited. So the prohibition for PHO, oils and fats blended with PHO, and prepackaged foods with PHO and IPTFA. The guideline also puts the trans fatty acid content a cap of 2 grams per 100 grams or 100 ml for prepackaged processed foods. You may be wondering if PHO is already banned, how come there is still a 2 grams capacity? Because these are for foods with naturally occurring trans fat or for foods processes that may generate trans fat in small amount, such as reheating and frying of oils at high temperatures. That is why fried foods using reused oils have industrially produced trans fat. This is more common in fried street foods and in some restaurants. So prepackaged foods for exports must also follow the regulations of the country of its destination. The guideline also prohibits labeling of foods as zero trans fat, and actual values must now be reported because current FDA rules allows food manufacturers to list amounts of trans fat with less than 0.5 grams as zero on the nutrition facts label. And lastly, food products must be properly labeled with the nutrition facts as per AO 2014-30. So health advocates celebrated the start of the effectivity of the trans fat ban. In the same press conference, the group composed of lawyers, doctors, nutritionists, and consumers also launched Bantay Contra Trans Fat as an initiative to foster compliance of food manufacturers and support the DOH and FDA's programs to eliminate trans fat. The group also launched the Trans Fat Free Philippines Facebook page as a messenger hotline for the public. So if you want to access relevant information about trans fats and submit reports of possible non-compliance of food manufacturers, you may reach them through their official FB page. During the 49th seminar series of the DOST FNRI last July 5 and 6 in 2023, Pelaggio and et al. Presented their study on trans fat content in select commonly consumed foods in the Philippines. A chemical analysis of 564 food products sold in local markets found that 17% of the products or brands had high trans fatty acid, meaning they exceeded the 2 grams per 100 grams capacity. So it poses a health risk to us consumers. Now, can I ask the audience, can you guess what types of foods are found to have high trans fat by the FNRI? Audience, please type your answers on the chat boxes and please don't mention any brand names, okay? I am excited to see your guesses. Sir Ryan Cabanatan, can you update us on our viewers and their opinions?
All right, Sir Eddie. As of 2:06 in the afternoon, we have 120 in our YouTube live and 110 for our Facebook viewers. Okay, so let me read a few of their answers and comments. Jennifer Mangaron said French fries. Tam Silvilio from YouTube live viewers, burgers. From our Facebook live, we have fries, potato chips from Mark Samuel Puntamillas. From comes street foods like kwek kwek, kikiam, Sir Eddie, ready to eat noodles from Joy Duarte Duro, and instant noodles from Joy Duro. Okay, that's all from Sir Eddie.
Wow, I'm really glad that our audience is still awake and participating in our discussions. Thank you for staying with me. But before I reveal which food items made it to the list, please help us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our official PWU YouTube and Facebook channels. So, are you ready to know the answers? A ranking of the food samples for highest trans fat acid content showed that 3 brands of unsalted butter were in the top 5, a brand of oatmeal cookies, a brand of mayonnaise, a sesame oil brand, a sugar-coated donut brand, a brand of all-purpose cream, a brand of corned beef, and a brand of a beef burger patty. So did your guesses made it to the list? It came equally as a surprise that despite the 2 years that food manufacturers were given to transition and comply with the ban, we still have pre-packaged foods with high trans fatty acid. Okay. Aside from that, I also did a personal survey of household items. So on the screen, we have a total of 7 brand images, no? So a brand of biscuit has 0 grams trans fat. A brand of crackers has 0 grams trans fat. A brand of milk powder has 0 grams trans fat. A brand of liquid fresh milk has 0.4 grams trans fat. A brand of cheese spread has less than 1 gram of trans fat. And lastly, a brand of mayonnaise has 0 grams trans fat. So basically, these manufacturers have already followed the regulations on trans fatty acid. I understand that the FDA trans fat ban only covers prepackaged processed food, but still, I went the extra mile to check on fast food trans fat content. The IRR, or the Implementing Rules and Regulations of RA 10611, which is the Food Safety Act of 2013, states that the Department of Agriculture is responsible for food safety in the primary production and post-harvest of foods, both as locally produced and imported, while the DOH, or the Department of Health, through the FDA, is the ones responsible for the safety of processed and prepackaged foods, both for foods locally produced or imported, while the local government unit is responsible for food safety in food businesses such as school canteens, restaurants, catering, street foods, and ambulant vending. According to a GMA integrated news report last June 2023, there are 2 House bills pending in Congress calling for the total ban of PHO and trans fat in all establishments. But until all food business operators are mandated by a law, only voluntary declarations can be expected by consumers. Such good example of voluntary declaration is from the data gathered from the website of the leading American burger chain's fat content. So as per their declaration, for their French fries, fried chicken, and burgers, all of them has 0 grams trans fat. So I also searched for online for information from the #1 fast food chain in the Philippines. However, only data on their US branch has these declarations. I suppose their Philippine formulation wouldn't vary much with the US data. So for their fried chicken, drumstick, spicy fried chicken drumstick, their gravy, spaghetti, burger, and burger with cheese, all of them has 0 grams trans fat. So it is very enlightening to know that even restaurants are following the trans fat uh, regulation. So let us have a brief review of our learnings. So first, the FDA issued circular number 2021-28, which is the guidelines for prepackaged processed foods containing trans fatty acids last June 18, 2021, with an effectivity of June 18, 2023. Trans fats increase low density cholesterol and decrease the high density lipoprotein cholesterol, which can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke. Number 3, PHO is the source of IPTFA, which is now banned, and PHO as well as oils and fats blended with PHO is now prohibited. Prepackaged foods must declare the actual amount of TNA. And lastly, the prepackaged foods are allowed to have trans fat acid content of not more than 2 grams per 100 grams or 100 ml. So there you have it. We had such a productive session today on our topic regarding trans fat, sugar, and sugar alternatives, as well as the regulations by the government to aid its citizens on how to have informed choices about our food intake. But at the end of the day, it is still up to us individually to take care of our own bodies, our own health, our own future. So eat smart, live well, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. That is my time, ladies and gentlemen. You have been very kind audiences. I am overwhelmed with your time and your participation. These are my references. You may take, so please note that the free-to-use photos were accessed through pexels.com aside from photos personally captured by the presenter. Again, this has been Eddie Boy Navarro. Thank you so much, everyone.
Wow. Thank you very much, Sir Eddie, for that really comprehensive and interesting presentation about sugar tax and trans fat regulation. I really appreciate the presentation as I have learned new things, especially when it comes to trans fat at doon sa mga napipintong or the possibility to impose taxes on these particular food products. And I hope whatever the decision of the government should always be fair for both our beloved country and to our countrymen, or shall I say, to us consumers. So we shall now proceed to the question and answer portion of our webinar. So for Zoom participants, just type your question in the chat box. For our YouTube and FB live viewers, please type your question in the comment section. And while waiting for the questions of our participants, let me check the number of our viewers. So as of 2:16 p.m., we have 115 participants in the Facebook Live and 119 in our in the YouTube Live. So we hope that you continuously support us until the last session of this webinar. For the question and answer portion, I will be starting off with the question for this question goes to Ma'am Anjin. So the question has been asked. I mean, this. Yeah, the question has been asked by Joy Guarte Dono.
Doron.
So
Doron.
is there the question is there a difference between natural sugars found in I'm sorry uh, is there is trans fat bad for all ages? I'm so sorry about that.
Trans fat affects all. Hello. So for the answer, trans fat affects all ages. So although the onset of atherosclerosis or the our heart attacks is on for adults, but young people or especially the children, so if they consume too much trans fat, so this would accumulate. So later on, it would be reasons for having heart diseases. So that's all, sir.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Anjen, and I hope we were able to address the question very. So another question we have here, another question from um, this question goes to Mom April. So the question is, how can individuals effectively reduce their sugar intake while maintaining a balanced and enjoyable diet? Ma'am April?
And thank you for that question, sir. So of course we still want to enjoy our diet, no? So as Filipino, sugar is something that most of us enjoy. So based on the WHO, what we need to reduce is the consumption of free sugar or yung intentionally added sugar. So for me, so if you want to still consume sugar and yet be healthy, so you go for natural sources of sugar. So those like fresh fruits. So yan. So yan po, may sugar sila, naturally occurring, but no added sugar. So yun. So I think that's one of the ways that we can still enjoy our diet, but we're not consuming free sugar. I hope I have answered that question.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am April. And that question is coming from Joy Guarte Doron, sorry. And there's another one question for Ma'am Anjin. And the question is also coming from Miss Joy Doron. So her question is, what can be done to replace trans fat? Ma'am
So,
Anjin?
okay, to answer the question, so one of the healthiest alternatives to using saturated or partially hydrogenated fats, or what we have the trans fats, is the use of natural unsaturated liquid vegetable oils such as olive. We have canola. We have corn oil, or yeah, soy oils. Also, using a blend of monounsaturated or polyunsaturated vegetable oils to have the shelf life, the taste, and the texture of the foods could also be done or be used, the monounsaturated or polyunsaturated vegetable oils. Oh, that's all, sir.
Okay. So thank you for that, Ma'am Anjin. And there's one important question here from our FB viewers. So this question goes to Sir Eddie Boy. The question is there any ordinance or law to stop purchasing such food with trans fat in schools?
Okay. So, as part of our discussion a while ago, so the trans fat ban only encompasses the pre-packaged foods. So, yung mga pagkain that is already packed and available in the market. Pero, pagdating sa mga foods that are part of canteens, services, restaurants, and yung mga ambulant vendors, there is currently no law yet. So wala pa siyang regulation. That is why there are already 2 laws pending in Congress that will address that all food that is being sold throughout the Philippines should be trans fat free. So currently wala pa po. So yun yung mga calls for the government to expedite the passing of the trans fat law within all of the Philippines. So I hope I answered your question.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sir Eddie. And Ma'am April, there's another one question for you coming from our Facebook, one of our Facebook viewers. So actually, it's coming from Andresa Pasaje. So the question is it safer to use sugar-free foods for diabetics? Ma'am?
So for that question, so sugar-free, so as mentioned earlier, no, considering that the food, if it's registered in the FDA, meaning the claim was reviewed by authority, we are sure that the content of the sugar is only 0.5 grams per 100 grams. So for diabetics, I think it's okay. But since I'm not a healthcare professional, I would still say if you have conditions such as diabetes or obesity, it is still best to consult your dietitian or your doctors for your sugar intake. So, thank you, sir. That's it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ma'am April, for that answer. And another question for Sir Eddie. The question is, there is a recent proposal from the Department of Finance and Department of Health to raise the tax for sugar sweetened beverages and also to tax junk foods. So, what do we know so far, sir?
Okay. So based on this question, no, I'd like to answer it frankly. So currently, there is a pending proposal from the Department of Health and the Department of Finance. This was in way back in June of 2023. So they are currently proposing a junk food and sweetened beverage tax. So ano na siya, encompassing na siya. So all non-nutritive foods, which includes yung confectionaires, snacks, desserts, and frozen confectionaries that exceeds the DOH specified thresholds for fat, salt, and sugar content. So lahat yon itatax na nila. So that is the call for an expanse of the current tax on sugar sweetened beverages. So ang mangyayari dyan, under their proposal, currently, di ba, meron tayong 3 tiers of the sugar sweetened beverages. As mentioned a while ago, we have 6 pesos, 12 pesos, and the 0 pesos. Pero under the new proposal, there will be a unified tax scheme. So, 12 pesos per liter siya, ang proposal niya, irregardless of what type of sweetener was used. So medyo mabigat na yung tax proposal nila. And aside from that, the tax rate will also be indexed annually by 4%. So 4% yearly tataas yung tax, as well as aalisin nila yung exemptions of food products. So currently, these are proposal pa lang naman by the Department of Finance and the Department of Health. So unless it has already been published as a regulation, then I think the public has nothing to worry about. But I believe that the government is only looking after its citizen on its health. So whatever that the government will be imposing on these taxes, I hope these were already been pre-studied and all other factors considered. So that's all the things that we know so far. So thank you for your question, and I hope I also answered your question.
Okay, thank you very much, Sir Eddie, for that very good answer. So thank you also, dear speakers, for gracing us with the answers to the questions raised by our audiences. So for those who have posted questions that were not answered due to time constraint, we will revert back to your queries through email. So again, for our participants in this webinar, please be reminded to fill up the evaluation form that will be sent later in our chat boxes from Facebook and YouTube Live. Take note that only participants who will be successfully accomplished these evaluation forms will be given e-certificate after the end of our sessions. Please be reminded that you have until 5 p.m. to complete these forms. So please do not forget to evaluate us for further improvement of the webinars. So your e-certificates will be forwarded once you have submitted your evaluation. Please be reminded that failure to submit within the allowable time means no issuance of the e-certificate. So to continue our webinar series, I shall now give the floor to Ms. Eleanor. So, ma'am.
Yes. Kudos to you, Sir Ronnie, and to our speakers. It was a very informative topic you discussed there. It was fascinating to learn about our government's initiatives, such as the sugar tax, to combat Filipino lifestyle diseases. Now, we will go ahead with the third and last session for the day with the topic Intermingling of Food Science and Technology and Food Safety to Attain Food Security from Farm to Fork. And the moderator for this session would be, of course, none other than yours truly. Again, my name is Eleanor Sabellas. Let us now start for our third session. There will be 5 speakers who will be discussing food waste and food loss, which can pose challenges to food security. What are the ways of converting food waste, and how food safety applications can as well prevent food wastage and loss? Emerging technologies of processing food waste to become a new product will also be tackled. This will be interesting for those who want to venture into upcycling while reducing our waste footprint. Lastly, unlabeled products food safety will be explained, the consequences of consuming such products, and what are the required details on food labels that we as consumers should know so that we along with our family will not experience any foodborne diseases. Okay, so our first speaker who will be discussing food waste and food loss, food security challenges is Ms. Grisel Ann Loria. She is a professional food technologist with more than 8 years of food industry experience and 2 years in public service. Currently, Ms. Grisel is connected with the Department of Science and Technology Region 3, Provincial Science and Technology Office of Pampanga as a project technical assistant. To share her expertise on the topic, let us welcome Ms. Grisel. Ma'am Grisel, please go ahead.
Thank you for that introduction, Miss Ellie. Once again, good afternoon to all of our viewers in the Facebook and YouTube. For my topic, I am going to discuss food waste and food loss and its connection to food security, which poses food security challenges. My discussion will start by giving background about the topic. There will be definition of terms, discussion of the current status of the food loss and waste. By the way, FLW is commonly used shortcut for food waste and food loss and waste. Then some causes of food loss and waste will also be tackled. After the introduction, the role of food safety to food loss and waste will be discussed. Then the effects of food safety implementation to food loss and waste. And lastly, I am going to discuss how food safety application helps to reduce food loss and waste. Okay, for the definition of terms, I am going to define some of the important terms in this topic, which are food system, food loss, food waste, and lastly, food security. According to the IFPRI, food systems are the sum of actors and interactions along the food value chain, which is from the input supply of agricultural commodities to transportation, processing, retailing, wholesaling, and also preparation of foods to consumption and then disposal. Another is, it is said that the food system is composed of subsystems such as farming, waste management, and input supply system, which interacts with other key systems such as energy, trade, and health system. In addition, a sustainable food system is a food system that delivers food security and nutrition for all. Also, in the current food system, food loss and waste is recognized as one of the most challenging issues because we produce tons of edible food waste every year. So, what is food loss? According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, or the FAO, it is the decrease in the quantity or quality of food resulting from decisions and actions by food suppliers in the chain, excluding retailers, food service providers, and consumers. It is said that food loss happens when food becomes unfit for human consumption before people have a chance to eat it. Showing on the screen are examples of where food loss happens, which are at the farm, during the processing, packaging, and storage of the food, and also during its transport and distribution. For example, for tomatoes, as we experience here in the Philippines, if the storage and handling in the farm and during transport is not okay, we could expect that a lot of tomatoes will be damaged and eventually this will be discarded. Next, what is food waste? FAO defined it as the decrease in the quantity or quality of food resulting from decisions and actions by retailers, food service providers, and consumers. Food waste happens when we discard food that's still fit for human consumption, either before or after it spoils. Some of sources of food waste are from the food retailers or at home or at restaurant. For example, in a buffet restaurant, which is very common nowadays, we could observe that at the end of their operations, all of the unconsumed foods will be discarded due to food safety reasons. There are certain products that are needed to be disposed at a certain period of time, like the cream-based or dairy-based foods, since they are more prone to spoilage. During the World Food Summit in 1996, FAO defined food security. It is said that food security exists when all people at all times have physical and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. Food security have four dimensions, which are food availability, food access by individuals, utilization of food, and lastly, stability or to be food secure. Food security is important to ensure that the nation will have better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life. Let's go to the impacts of food losses and waste. It is said that food loss and waste is considered to be one of the greatest challenges of our time. When food is tossed aside or wasted, the opportunities for improved food security and economic growth will also be wasted. Based on studies, developing and low-income countries didn't have enough access to food in 2020. Part of this contributed by food loss and waste. It is estimated that around 720 to 811 million people went hungry in 2020. For the global food losses and waste per year, roughly one-third of the edible parts of food produced for human consumption are get lost or wasted, which is about 1.3 billion tons per year. It is said that 1 trillion US dollars worth of foods are wasted or lost every year. That is enough to feed more than twice the number of hungry people in the world. Food waste may came from the imperfect or oversupply of produce left in the farm or from foods thrown away at hotels, restaurants, and homes, or food that expired before sale at grocery stores. On the other hand, food loss happens before harvest because of a drought or storm, or when the crops are infested by pests due to inadequate storage, and when food spoiled during transport due to lack of refrigeration, for example. Food loss in the agriculture. The graph that is presented shows the percentage of food loss in post-harvest processes by region in the world. Southeast Asian region, where the Philippines belong, has a 7.8% food loss, while the average food loss in the world is 13.8%. In the agriculture industry, proper handling and secure post-harvest systems are important. Some of the challenges that being experienced by farmers, food handlers, and traders which contribute to post-harvest losses are, first, inadequate storage facilities. For example, here in the Philippines, there is no enough cold storage for onion or fresh produce, which is very critical to preserve their quality. Second, use of traditional drying methods. Here in the Philippines, we could still see palays that are being dried on the streets. or fishermen who were sun-drying their fish products. Third, delays in transportation are also contributor of post-harvest loss, like when there are typhoon and other calamities. Post-harvest loss in the Philippines. It is said that agricultural products are high volume but low in value, and they are highly perishable. These produce are generally wasted during the process of food distribution in the supply chain. Some of the major contributors to post-harvest losses in the Philippines are lack of post-harvest infrastructures and facilities, and the way of handling and the multi-layered distribution system in the country. Asian Development Bank conducted a research about the post-harvest losses in the Philippines. The data shows that thousands of tons of agricultural products are lost along the supply chain, which are equivalent to millions and billions of pesos. For the food waste, according to the United Nations, it is estimated that 17% of total global food production is wasted in households, in the food service, and in retail altogether. Some of the factors, according to FAO, that can contribute to food loss and waste at the consumer level are improper storage, large portions, date label, date label confusions, poor planning, and others. In 2021, retailers generated 5.12 million tons of surplus food, nearly 35% of which went to landfill. Most of this surplus are fresh produce, dairy and eggs, fresh meat and seafood, and more than half was caused by concerns or confusions over freshness date labels. The causes of food waste are usually due to date label concerns, handling errors, and spoiled products. Mainly, food waste goes to landfill, donations, or composting. It will be discussed in the next presentations, the food safety of unlabeled products and its connection to food loss and waste. This ends the first part of the discussion. Now, we'll proceed to the role of food safety. FAO said that there is no food security without food safety. When the food is safe is the only time that it can contribute to our food security and health. Also, it is said that food safety and security are two complementing elements for a sustainable future. Let's go to the role of food safety in preventing food loss and waste. It is said that along the safety of food, food waste is also a growing concern. It is estimated that 30 to 40% of food goes uneaten each year. Some of food safety regulations and guidelines issued by authorities are contrasting to sustainability principles, which is the food waste reduction. Examples of these instances are when there are an order to recall, withdraw, and destroy products that are believed to be hazardous batches. Numerous incidences of failure to comply with regulatory criteria have resulted in outbreaks of foodborne diseases and food recalls. Did you know that food waste is a neglected impact of food recalls? Recalled foods are often thrown away or end up in landfills. Another example is the confusion about food expiry date. Some manufacturers uses best before or best if used by, which means that the product will be at its best quality before this date, which makes the consumers avoid eating food beyond the best before date and throw it away even if it is still safe to eat. The food industry is moving toward to more uniform practices for date labeling of packaged foods. But for now, consumers may see different phrases used for product dating, such as sell by, best by, and expires on. For the effects of food safety to food loss and waste in the agriculture, it is said that many of the causes of food losses in primary production are related to food safety concerns. For example, dairy farmers may dispose the milk that is unfit for human consumption due to high concentrations of antibiotic residues or when there is a high concentration of heavy metals due to environmental pollution. Another is food losses on farm may occur in order to avoid transmission of diseases from animals into the human food chain. Lastly, food losses happens when the fresh produce may not be harvested because of damage by weather, pests, and diseases. Since poor quality or infested products may pose food safety concerns, this produce will be discarded. For the food safety causes of food loss and waste in the food industry, it is said that roughly one-fifth is wasted during processing and production of food products. Balancing the strategies for food waste reduction with rigorous food safety protocols are said to be challenging for the food manufacturers. According in a study, roughly 11% of all food processing waste was due to routine human errors such as inefficient working procedures and inadequate employee training. This shows that food safety protocol can be a major contributor to processing food waste because even the slightest detectable contamination within a product will result for a rejection, which contributes to food losses. In the household level, it is said that consumers are one of the sources of food waste because of their first consideration of food safety. There is a study that shows 40% of the consumers have lost enjoyment of food because of concerns about food safety and quality. They have been aware of the concepts of proper food handling, possible source of contamination, and the risks involved because of food poisoning. So the consumers tend to prioritize food safety, which leads to throwing of foods that are still okay for consumption. Second, consumers have confusion on the product dates, specifically the dates which involves end of shelf life. As discussed earlier, some consumers avoid eating food beyond the best before date and throw it away even if it's still safe to consume. Third is the improper food storage. Some of the foods that at home may not be stored in the right storage conditions. The risk of spoilage and food waste is mostly connected with inappropriate storage conditions. FAO is active in campaigning reduction of the food loss and waste. There are measures to prevent and reduce food loss and waste from harvest to distribution. Examples of these are having harvest timing, having storage infrastructure, and innovative and proper packaging technologies. Some ways to reduce food loss and waste are to have food waste reduction policies, should use appropriate technologies, people involved in the food supply chain should be knowledgeable, and there should be adequate infrastructures. Transforming of food products to prevent food waste and food loss will be discussed in the next presentation. Also, the emerging technologies to transform food waste into value-added products is going to be discussed later. For the reduction and prevention of food loss in the agriculture, it is said that implementation of food safety programs can help in the reduction of post-harvest losses. Some of these food safety programs are the Good Agricultural Practices or GAP and the Good Handling Practices, which is GHP. In GAP, this involves food safety principles and practices that are being applied on farm production and post-production to ensure food safety and quality. To have an idea, in GOV, it tackles the food safety plan, food effects plan, traceability, workers' health and hygiene, house packing facilities, storage, and transportation. For good handling practices or GHP, it refers to post-harvest handling of produce to minimize contamination. Practices include water quality, sanitation of the packing house, pest control programs, and sanitation of containers. The role of food safety in reducing processing food waste in the food industry. It is important to protect consumers from foodborne illnesses and injury, but not effective or not efficient food safety management system may be contributing to food waste problems. Some of the ways to help in the reduction of food processing waste are: first, early detection of contaminated products, relying on end of line inspection only to control contamination in food products may contribute to higher volume of food waste. Food products may become contaminated at any part in the production line. If there are no controls in place to check for contaminants before the end of stage of production, a contaminated food product may have made a complete journey before being identified and rejected. For this instance, it is not just the contaminated product that is being thrown out, but also all the additional ingredients, energy, and resources that went into its processing up until that point of detection of the contamination are wasted. Second possible way to reduce food processing waste is avoiding the waste associated with food recalls. We know that food recalls are often necessary measure to prevent illnesses and injuries. But in terms of food waste, the consequences is big. Through proper and effective food safety management system in the manufacturing will help to avoid occurrence of food recalls. Lastly, reducing false rejects caused by product defect. This is related to metal contamination. Amongst the most complex challenges in metal contaminant detection is the phenomenon of product effect or the inherent properties of the food. Some common food products such as fresh fish, meat, and dairy have a moisture and salt content that can be the reason to have a perceived false contaminants. This can trigger rejection on metal detectors. Next, handling leftover meals is important for food waste prevention or reduction, but has also proven to be an area of concern regarding food safety. It is important for the consumers to become aware on the sources of food waste for them to help reduce food waste that they generated. Instead of telling consumers what not to do, it is better to present good practices that keep food waste low without increasing food safety risks. For example, knowing what to look for during shopping, like the expiration date and indications of proper storage and usage. Also, consumers should be aware of the FIFO or first in, first out principle, and they should keep track of their food. Consumers should consume first the products that expire first. Also, it is important to help the consumers understand the difference between produce that is just bruised versus produce that has truly spoiled. For example, like for banana, if it has a bruise on it, it doesn't mean that we have to throw it away. This can be used in banana bread making or some smoothies. Lastly, it is helpful to educate consumers on the proper way to store fruits, vegetables, fish, meat, and dairy products so they would last longer. So those are some of the ways on how will the application of food safety principles help in the reduction of the food loss and waste at different stages of the food supply chain, which can help to address some food security challenges. And this ends my presentation. Again, I am Crizel Ann A. Loria. Thank you very much for listening. Here are the list of my references. You may take a picture for your later use. Second page of my reference list, third page, fourth page, fifth page, sixth, and the last page. Once again, thank you very much and stay tuned for our next topics.
Paki-check na wala yung script. Okay, thank you, Ma'am Purcell, for that very informative talk. Let us join hand in hand to prevent food wastage and food loss. So our next speaker to discuss from food waste to food wise is Mr. Mark Samuel Fontamillas, a graduate of BS Food Technology from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. And now, he is a freelance food professional with a wide experience in the fields of quality assurance, food production, and research and development. Let us all welcome Sir Mark.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Ellie, for the warm introduction. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much also to our previous speaker, Ms. Grizel, for the informative introduction to food waste. This afternoon, we'll continue the discussion on food waste. I'll be discussing the topic from food waste to food wise. The outline of the topic will be the following. First, how could we transform food waste for food security? Second, what are the common food waste? Third, importance and benefits of less food waste. Fourth, we'll be discussing a sustainable waste system called circular economy. Fifth, what are the food waste products that can be produced for new products? And lastly, what are the social responsibilities of an individual in reducing food waste? So let's start on transforming food waste for food security. Transforming food waste into a valuable food security resource is a crucial step in addressing global food challenges. Here are several ways in which food waste can be transformed to enhance food security. First, food donation. So, a program that collects surplus or edible food and then distribute it to food banks, charities, and communities who are in need. Second is foods upcycling. So transform food waste into new food products or ingredient. This topic will be further discussed by my fellow presenter in the later part of this session. Next is the food waste reduction technologies. So on this one, development and implement innovative technologies to reduce food waste. And this is also will be discussed further by my fellow presenter on the later part of this session. Fourth is the education initiatives. So like we're doing right now, we're raising awareness about the food waste and educate consumers, businesses, and communities about the way to reduce food waste. Next on our list is food waste monitoring. So implement system to track and measure food waste at every level of the supply chain, helping identify resource of food waste and opportunity to improve that system or that program. Okay, so on number 6 is the research and innovation. So we as food professional, we must invest in research and development to find ways to repurpose the food waste and reduce waste for the next generation. Transforming food waste into a resource for food security is not only environmentally responsible, but also economically benefit and contributes to more sustainable food system. However, it requires collaboration among government, businesses, non-profit organizations, and communities to implement effective strategies and practices to reduce food waste and maximizing its full potential to address food insecurity. Now we know how to transform food waste for food security. Let's run deeper into the issue of food waste. Just like what our previous speaker said, 1/3 of the food we produce is wasted, around 1.3 billion tons of food, or a cost of 940 billion each year. Did you know that 10% of the greenhouse gases came from produced food but not eaten? This is based on the United Nations Environmental Program, which is published last 2021. Knowing this fact, here are the 3 types of common food waste that goes to our landfill. First is the household food waste. Second is the agricultural food waste. And third is the industrial food waste. Let's tackle first about the household food waste. So, food waste is a significant problem worldwide, occurring in every stages of the food supply chain, including our house. Okay, so the most common household food waste are the following. First is the fruit and vegetable. So often fruits and vegetable go bad before they are fully consumed due to improper storage or maybe overbuying. Next is the bread and bakery item. So unconsumed bread, pastries, and other baked goods tend to go moldy quickly, leading to the bread to disposal. Third is dairy products. So milk, cheese, yogurt, and other dairy products may go expired or spoiled if not used in time. So next is meat and poultry. So meat and poultry go bad if not properly stored or used within the reasonable time frame. And most common of this one in our house, especially in our house, which I also have a child, is the snack foods. So like chips, crackers, and other snacks items are often opened but not fully consumed. Okay, so leading to waste. So do you relate on this matter? So to reduce household food waste, it is essential to practice smart shopping, meal planning, proper storage, and creative ways to use leftovers. Second, common food waste is the agricultural food waste, which occurs from production to distribution and to consumption. So the most common types of agriculture food waste are the following. First is produce loss. So fruit and vegetable often suffer significant loss during harvest, sorting, picking processes. This includes factors such as over-ripeness, damage during handling, or cosmetic imperfection that cause them to be rejected by the retailers. Next is the culling and grading. So many crops are graded and sorted to meet market standard, leading to rejection of perfectly edible produce that doesn't meet cosmetic or size requirements. Next is the livestock waste. So in animal agriculture, not all parts of an animal are consumed. Organs, bones, and other parts of the animal may be disregarded as waste, even though they are edible and can be produced in various food products. And lastly is the transportation and distribution loss. Food can be damaged or spoiled during transportation and distribution due to temperature fluctuation, improper handling, and delays in transit can contribute to this loss. Addressing agricultural food waste is essential for improving food security and sustainability. It can reduce the pressure on natural resources and contribute to more efficient and equitable food system. Strategies to combat agricultural food waste includes better storage and transportation infrastructure, improvement harvesting and processing techniques, changes in consumer behavior, and policies measured to encourage food recovery and food donation. And lastly, the third common food waste is the industrial food waste, so which occur in various stages of the industry, from food production, processing, and distribution. And here are the types of industrial food waste commonly seen in the industry or in our plant. Okay, so first is excessive inventory. So food manufacturers or processor may produce more goods than the market demanded, so leading to excess inventory and then disposal. Second is processing losses. Processing food can result to losses due to trimming, peeling, and cooking, where portion of the raw material is lost. Next is ingredient spillage. So spillage in ingredients like flour, sugar, or grain can be occurred during production and packaging processes. And lastly, the unused raw materials. So food manufacturer often involves purchasing bulk raw materials, and then some of this portion is not used and go to waste. Reducing industrial food waste is a significant challenge, but also an opportunity to improve sustainability and economic efficiency within the food industry. Many businesses are adopting strategies to minimize waste, such as lean production techniques, inventory management, and improved packaging designs, contributing to more sustainable food system. Now we know the three types of common food waste. We should also know why it's important to less food waste. So first is the food waste determines the sustainability of the food system. Food waste can be negatively impact the food security and food availability and contributes to increasing cost of food. Next is the food system cannot be resilient if they are not sustainable. So we should need to be more focused on adopting integrated approach designed to reduce food waste. The introduction of technologies, innovative solution, new ways on working, and good practices to manage food quality and to reduce food waste are the key to implementing a transformative changes. Now we know the importance of less food waste. It's also great to know what are the benefits of less food waste. So first on our list is cost savings on labor through more efficient handling, preparation, and storage of food. Next is savings when purchasing only the food we all really needed. Okay, so next is better management of energy, resources, and preventing pollution in the manufacturing. And lastly, community benefits by providing donate, untouched, and safe food that would be otherwise be thrown out. Now we know the importance and benefits of less food waste. Let's discuss the importance of food waste reduction from linear economy to circular economy. Transitioning from linear economy to circular economy is a crucial step in reducing food waste and promoting sustainability in the food industry. But first, what is linear economy? So a linear economy is a one-way straight line system that aims to produce, consume, and dispose products. It is a wasteful system because food ends up in trash. Food waste in linear economy is a significant problem because it results in inefficient use of resources, contributes to greenhouse gases, emission in landfill, and increasing global food security challenges. Now, what are the examples of this economy? So I will give you two examples, which is the paper production without reforestation. On this process, manufacturing of paper and paper products without implementing a sustainable practice to replenish trees and forests that are harvested for raw materials results to flooding and landslide. So next is fossil fuel driven energy development to generate electricity. So fossil fuels such as coal and oil, such may be known as petrol or diesel fuel, are primary energy source for production of electrical power. This process involves the conversion of chemical energy stored in fossil fuel to energy at power plant. Burn fossil fuel cause large amount of greenhouse gases that contributes to global warming. So second economy we're going to discuss is the reuse economy, the most achievable economy to reduce food waste. So food waste reuse economy refers to an economic model that emphasizes finding innovative and sustainable way to reuse food waste rather than simply discarding it. This approach aims to reduce the environmental, economic impact of food waste while simultaneously creating values from what was traditionally considered as waste. By transitioning to a food waste reuse economy, society can address both food waste reduction and resource conservation challenges. It's a holistic approach that aligns with sustainability goals and offers economic benefits while reducing the environmental impact of food waste. So, what is an example of reuse economy? The best example of this economy is called Mid-Michigan Free Cycle Network. So, this network was established in Michigan, USA, so which has a motto of one person's trash is another person's treasure. This has been established to decrease landfill by giving new life to goods used stuff. So this economy can be also be defined in Tagalog as basura mo, kabuhayan ko. Okay, so this economy is also practiced in the Philippines by what we call is MRF. Okay. Yeah. So lastly, our ultimate goal for food waste reduction is circular economy. So the food circular economy is an economic model that focuses on reducing, reusing, and recycling food waste within a closed-loop system. It aligns with the broader concept of circular economy, which seeks to minimize waste, maximize resources efficiently, and create sustainable and regenerative system. The principle of the circular economy applies to prevent, divert, and repurpose food waste at every stages of the supply chain. It emphasizes the importance of responsible production, consumption, and resource management to achieve this goal. So what are the examples of this economy? So we have the IKEA in US who started buying back unwanted furnitures and other items and giving vouchers to their customer in exchange of these items and then selling the items as second-hand. Next is the Burger King. So Burger King has unveiled a solution in form of reusable packaging intended to reduce amount of waste it generated. And lastly, the shoes that we are wearing, the shoes called Ultra Boost DNA Loop, is made of 100% recyclable material. So Adidas has a motto on these shoes that they say, the shoes that you don't own. Okay, knowing that the transition from linear economy to circular economy, here are the example of food waste that can be made for new products, or we could say recycled new food product. Okay, first is the fruit and vegetable juice pulp. So pulp left over from juicing fruits and vegetable can be incorporated into baking recipes such as muffin, cake, and to add flavor and nutrition also. Next is fruit peels. So citrus peels such as oranges and lemon peels can be candied to make sweet treats or used to flavor recipes. Next is the leftover bread. So leftover bread can be transformed into breadcrumbs or used in recipes like bread pudding or even French toast. Next on our list is the coffee ground. Did you know that coffee ground can be repurposed as natural dehydrator in our refrigerator? Knowing this fact, we should also do this in our home. Next is the damaged fruit. So excess and overripe fruit can be used to make jam, sauces, and preserve. We already know the food waste product that can be produced to new product. Now we must know our social responsibility as an individual in reducing food waste. Reducing food waste is an important way individual can contribute to a more sustainable and environmental friendly society. And here are some practical ways you could take to help reduce food waste. First is plan your meal. Before going shopping, plan your meal for the week and make a shopping list. This can help you buy only the food what you really need and reduce impulse purchasing. Next is understanding expiration date. So be familiarize yourself with the food expiration on the food products and don't throw away food prematurely. Next is the proper storage. So store food properly to extend its shelf life. Use airtight container. Keep perishable in the fridge and store items like potatoes and onions in cool, dark places. Next is the portion control. Serve reasonable portion size to avoid leftovers that may go to waste. Next is educate yourself. Stay informed about the food waste and its environmental impact. The more you know, the more motivated you are, so you could reduce food waste. And next is support sustainable practice. Yes. So choose restaurant and businesses that prioritize reducing food waste and support food sustainable initiative. Next is the text or teach other. Okay, so share your knowledge and enthusiasm for reducing food waste with your friends and families. Encourage them to adopt these practices as well. And lastly, use app or tool. So there are apps and website that you can help you to manage your food inventory, meal planning, and even find recipe for used ingredients that you already have. And here are some examples of this app. You could search Pantry Checker, Cozy Family Organizer, Eat Up, or the Marketman. Okay? Implementing these practices in our daily lives can make a significant difference in reducing food waste, which not only conserves resources but also help combat hunger and reduce the environmental impact of food production and disposal. It's really great to know that everyone can help on contributing on reducing food waste. So let's start reducing food waste by doing the 30 days food challenge. So what is the 30 days food challenge? It's a campaign or initiative that encourages individual, household, and communities to reduce their food waste over the course of 30 days. The challenge typically involves participants committing to take specific action, and adapting habits to aim a minimizing food waste in your daily lives. The goal of the challenge is to raise awareness about the issue of food waste, promoting responsible consumption, and inspire long-term change in behavior. Here is the 30 days food waste challenge plan. Please take a photo, screenshot, or if you have a good memory, just memorize it. Okay, so we could start reducing food waste now. Let's do the 30 days food waste challenge and make a difference today. Thank you for listening, and for further information, or if this topic got your interest, here are the references that you check. Thank you so much and have a good day, everyone.
Sir Mark, with your presentation, I hope that everyone had a clear view on how we can help reduce food waste. So let us help each other on this endeavor for a better tomorrow. Moving on, our third speaker is Ms. Daralee Robes. She is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Agricultural Education, major in Food Technology. She is a licensed professional teacher at DepEd San Jose National Agricultural and Industrial High School as Teacher 1. To discuss on food waste emerging technologies, let us welcome Ms. Dara. Ma'am Dara.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Ms. Ellie. The topic that I will be discussing with you is entitled Food Waste Emerging Technologies. But before we proceed, I would like to share with you a food waste on the Philippines.
Sa unang 6 na buwan ng 2018, umabot sa halos 900 bilyong piso ang halaga ng pagkaing nalikha sa Pilipinas. Pero sa kabila ng tila kasaganahan, marami rin ang itinatapong pagkain o food waste. Kapansin-pansin ang mga reject na gulay na iniiwan na lamang dahil hindi pasado sa merkado.
Meron kaming kinuha na isang piraso ng iceberg lettuce na hindi na napakinabangan. Pero kung tutusin, good pa siya kasi ito kinakain ko nga eh. Fresh na fresh.
Nakababahala, lalo na't higit 7 milyong pamilyang Pilipino ang nagsabing wala silang sapat na pagkain.
Ganun po yung kinakain namin, butig. Iyon po ang kinabuhay namin.
Tuklasin natin kung paano nangyayari ang food waste sa bansa, mula produksyon hanggang sa ating pagkonsumo nito. At kilalanin natin ang ating mga kababayan na nakahanap ng paraan para muling mapakinabangan ang mga tapong pagkain.
Ano po yan?
Ito po, yung pinakabalat ng manok.
Mukhang yung mga kumain nito ay hindi masyadong gutom. Kumbaga ito yung pinaka-jackpot para sa kanila. Magkano po ang benta dito? 15?
Atom Araulio, nakatutok, 24 oras.
Okay, based on the video that I have showed you by a docu of Sir Atom Arroyo, it shows that the Philippines has wasted too much food, like leftover meals, fruits, and vegetables. That is globally an economic and environmental problem of each country. Now, let's proceed. Here, I will present to you the scope of my presentation. The first one is through the food waste management system in the Philippines. The next is the overview of the food waste management, as well as the emerging technologies or methods on food waste, the value-added products of food waste, and also the next one is all about what is upcycling, what is upcycled food, and challenges with upcycling food waste. Now, let's proceed. to the food waste management in the Philippines. Here, the data shows the food waste that is collected from the year 2014 up to year 2022. As the times goes by, the food waste collected to the year 2014 up to year 2019 goes higher. And a thousand of Filipinos goes hungry. But it is decreased by the year 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and all of the citizens cannot go out of their home. And it also arises from the year 2021 because of the lockdown is lifted and all people or the citizens can go out. And in the year 2022, it decreases because the 3 months is not included. The year October up to December, specifically December is the Christmas season, and it shows that it decreases the food waste. Then, as it grows higher, the food waste is collected. Thousands of people is hungry. If we can transform the food waste into another one, we can feed thousands of family also. Now, let's proceed to the next one. Is all about the overview of food waste management. Now, the first one is the landfilling. The transform it, the food waste, it is the one that is usually disposed, the food waste. And another way around, we have here the energy degeneration or the anaerobic digestion. And still, there also another way around from transferring food waste, such as its methods, as well as its value-added products that I will be discussing in my next succeeding slide. Now, let's proceed to the emerging methods or technologies on food waste. The first methods, we have here the thermal methods. The thermal method stands for the use of different kinds of heat applications like incineration, pyrolysis, and gasification to create value-added products such as biofuel, gas, and semicoke. The first heat application is the incineration, wherein it uses the machines like incinerator to transform the food waste or the organic material into ash. While pyrolysis is gasification, use combustion of heat to transform the food waste or organic materials into value-added products. The difference is pyrolysis do not use oxygen, while gasification use oxygen to transform it or creating a value-added products. The next method is all about the chemical methods, wherein chemical methods use anaerobic digestion with the use of chemicals like acetic acid, carbon dioxides, iodine to transform food waste into value-added products such as biogas and digestate. Through the use of anaerobic digestion, or it is using the anaerobic digestion refers to the process which bacteria break down the organic matter, such as animal manure, wastewater biosolids, food waste, and with absence of oxygen. Though the anaerobic digestion, through the use of anaerobic digester, it uses the chemical to easily break down the organic material of food waste, like the one that I am talking about, the example of chemicals is acetic acid, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen. It is used in aerobic digestion with the use of the anaerobic digester. The next method is all about the enzymatic methods, wherein the enzymatic methods refers to the use of enzymes and microorganisms to transform food waste into value-added products such as antioxidants, pigments, fertilizers, biofuel, and sugars, etc. Through the use of enzymes like amylase, lipase, microorganisms like fungi and bacteria, it also easily break down the food waste and organic materials and transform it into the value-added product like antioxidants, which is present on the fruit waste, as well as the pigments and fertilizers through the easily decompose the organic materials. The next methods is all about the biotechnological methods, wherein the biotechnological methods use food valorization to transform food waste into value-added products such as biofuel, essential oils, bioactive compounds, and etc. Through the valorization process, it transforms the food waste into products or value-added products in its effective application. Wherein the example of valorization is through the use of agricultural waste and transform it into food waste, value-added materials, in their utilization of various emerging fields. Wherein in food waste, through the emerging technologies as well as its method, we can transform it into biofertilizers, digestate, biogas, biomethane, heat, electricity, fine chemicals. Through these food emerging technologies or fields, we can transform food waste into another way around that is most valuable as well as it is resourceful. Because if you cannot transform food waste, it is usually dumped in the dump site and it can cause greenhouse gases such as methane and carbon dioxide. For the continuation, I have here the value-added products from food waste, such as the value-added products from vegetable waste, like bioethanol, biobutanol, biogas, bioelectricity, and bioactives. And the next waste is all about the fruit waste, wherein it can transform the food waste into the treatment value-added products such as antioxidants, DHA, vermicompost, industrial enzymes, sugars, and pigments. But before I proceed, first, I have here DHA. What is DHA stands for? DHA stands for the docosahexaenoic acid. It is usually present in the cold water fish like tuna and salmon, while chitosan is a sugar that comes from the shrimps and as well as lobsters and crabs. So through value-added products and transforming our food into the emerging fields, we can help reduce reduction of food waste through the proper applications of methods as well as technologies. Now, let's proceed to my next discussions. First, what is upcycling? What is upcycling? Upcycling is refers to the new value-added or high-quality sustainable product will be produced in converting waste and use materials by reusing a product in a new way while minimizing unnecessary resources and expenditure. So upcycling is the process while its end product is the upcycled food. So what is upcycled food? It is the value-added surplus product from upcycling process, and so the finish is upcycled food. So for the continuation, let's move on to the next slide. So we have here the current trends in upcycling in the Philippines. We have here the upcycling food waste or food scrap and waste by the view of San Miguel, scraps, food waste, and we have the so-called ground of coffee beans such as fruits, vegetable pulp, and even the peels comes fruits, vegetable as possible ingredients. Now you have observed that the saba banana peel is the mincemeat peeling of chicken empanada. This is the point of view or one factor that the San Miguel noticed that the saba banana peel is usually disposed. So through the product of usually using saba like we have here the banana peel, we have here the banana chips. Usually the peels is thrown away. So why not transform it into upcycled food? Like mixing it into a chicken empanada. So the continuation, we have here the upcycled example of a cycled food. The first food is the Nescafe Native Cascara in 2021 by Nestle Australia, wherein this cascara stands for the Spanish word has, refers to the coffee berry that surrounds around the coffee bean. Usually, we use only the beans of coffee that we use it in drinking. Why not transform it into a new product? So they come up that using the cascara and develop it into a new drink that is Nescafe Native Cascara. And another example is the kombucha, wherein the cascara uses fermentation process that is called cascara or kombucha. The next one is all about the chocolates. So you can see here a picture of chocolate that based on the Japan, that the Nestle Japan is use cacao fruit KitKat. Usually, when making cacao or when making chocolate, the flesh of the cacao is usually thrown away. So the Nestle Japan put up why not utilize it and make it into a new product or upcycled food. It utilize it and make it a cacao fruit KitKat. So you can see it in the image that is a cacao fruit KitKat. Next is another upcycled food wherein in June 2022 by Berry Calvo, Belgian Swiss chocolate manufacturer also launched a whole fruit chocolate, and it is 100% cacao fruit. So it transformed the whole cacao fruit. Well, usually cacao fruit, if it has brewish, it's thrown away. Why not make it into a new fruit and make it 100%? So the Belgian Swiss transformed the cacao and make it into 100% fruit or chocolate. So he came up into his mind. So the next one is another example of a cycled food by a food processing base in the US uses watermelon that discarded due to the aesthetic reasons and upcycle them into make a flavored water. Now, through this image, you have seen a flavored water, which is watermelon. Usually, watermelon, if it is bruised or some scratches, it's usually thrown away. Why not make it into a new one and transform it into use it and make it a flavored drink? So the food processing firm base put up and make it a reuse, or rather than make it into utilize the watermelon which is discarded and put up into a new upcycled food which is the flavored water. For the continuation, we have here the through the Scraps startup base in New York, USA, uses exist or brews and basil leaves and add shaved peppers to make frozen pizza. So usually, if it's the basil leaves has brewish and the shaved pepper has different size or shape, it's usually thrown away. So they utilize it and make it a new food. Specifically, through upcycling, they use it in making a frozen pizza. So you can have seen or observed the image. It is a scrap of our frozen pizza. So the another one, for the continuation, we have here the another example of upcycled food. Through the Unilever uses ice cream not used in the primary production process and mix it with chocolate sauce and white chocolate chips, and to create a new flavor called Cremissimo White Mustache. So usually, if the ice cream that is originated or not used, they transform it to a new one and make it into a new product through upcycling. So they come up with a new flavor, which is the Cremissimo White Mustache. So let's move on. We have here, through the US-based yogurt company, makes probiotic tonics from whey, a byproduct of yogurt. Wherein, usually, we have yogurt, so they come up with making its byproduct into a probiotic tonics. So there's another way around. We have here the Australian-based Kentech, a fruit seed producers and processor use a pits of cherry, apricot, and plum and transform it then into protein powders and oils. So they come up with this one and utilize the seeds of the different said fruits and make it into powders and oil. So easily through upcycling and make it to upcycled food. So let's move on. For the next topic that I will discuss is all about challenges when it comes to upcycling food waste. The first challenge is all about the inconsistent supply of components made from recycled products. Why it is inconsistent? Because sometimes through the food waste where it came from to agriculture fields, to restaurants, or the food industry, this is the major challenge when it comes to collecting or gathering the food waste that is going to be or making it through the process of upcycling. The next one is to maintaining the quality of freshness of the components throughout the lifespan of product. Primarily, we have leftovers. So these challenges we should inculcate or put it in their minds. We have the food safety as well as the quality of the ingredients and the raw materials when handling and making a product from upcycling. It is where it is good enough of such quality as well as it comes to which is the raw material is fresh. It is now has no effects when it, so that we can put up another one or make it into upcycled food. The next one is the consumer's approval. Why is the consumer's approval is the now another challenges when it comes to food waste? Why? Because consumer approvals is nowadays is when it comes to upcycling food waste is a new trend to them. So their perception might have another way around or another perception when it comes to upcycling as well as the upcycled food. So we have another challenges with each consumers' proximity to purchase recycled products or further diminish with the belief that they are frequently more expensive. So they have come up to this mind that when it comes to upcycling food waste and make it to upcycled food, it is more expensive than the other way around that they buy on the market. So because it is a new trend when it comes to recycle the byproduct of a specific fruit or fruit, vegetable, as well as the leftovers. So we can transform it to a new one. So they think that is a expensive. So they cannot afford because it is new to them. So it's new for their mind also. So next on, for the summary of my topic, we have here the transforming of the food waste to value-added products is an essential steps in reducing environmental impact and promoting the sustainable food industry through emerging technologies and upcycling food waste. So this is my summary that we could you know that at the end of my discussion. Now, I have here short quotations that cutting food waste is a delicious way of saving money, helping feed the world, and protect the planet. So, through the quotation, we can easily have our money saved. We can help our we can feed many people as well as protect our planet. So, for further understand my topic, you can screenshot, and here are my references. Here are my references for the next succeeding slide. So, once again, thank you everyone for listening.
Dara, it was amazing to know that there are many emerging technologies now for upcycling. And I hope that our participants will try to engage in upcycling in the future. So now, I will present to you the second to the last speaker for the session 3. Our speaker for our last topic, food safety of unlabeled products, upcycled products, is Ms. Shani Irish L. Robes. Ms. Shani is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Agricultural Education, major in food technology. She is currently a Teacher 1 handling food processing subjects at DepEd San Jose National Agricultural and Industrial High School. Ms. Shani, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome participants and other professionals. Thank you, Ms. Ellie, for your warm introduction. This afternoon, I am going to discuss food safety of unlabeled processed, upcycled products in the Philippine settings. Before we proceed, I would like to share with you the scope of our presentation. First is the definition of unlabeled products. Second are the dangers of unlabeled products. Next is the importance of food labels. And lastly, the mandatory label information. Who among you is familiar with this news? Kindly raise your hands if you know this. Okay, that's good to know. In this slide, the Department of Agriculture and Bureau of Customs sees 2.8 million worth of smuggled expired frozen meat that was repackaged and made into an unlabeled product from a warehouse in Bulacan. The warehouse was allegedly operating without a business permit. So the confiscated good will go to the condemnation facility and be burned thoroughly through incineration or burned on the ground to avoid resurfacing in the market. That 14 kilograms of frozen meat went to waste. I mentioned from the previous slide about unlabeled product. So what are unlabeled products? Unlabeled products are products that has not yet been labeled. There are no written or graphical information attached to the packaging. Here are some of the unlabeled products commonly seen in the wet market or sari-sari store. First is the cooking oil, either palm oil or vegetable oil. It's packed in a 330 ml bottle. Next is food color. It is packed in a polyethylene plastic and sold for 5 pesos or 10 pesos. Next is fish cracker that can be sold in bulk or budget size. Next examples are cropik, peanuts, and chicharon. These products are also sold in wet market, sari-sari store, or even in the bus terminals. In this slide and the succeeding slide, we will discuss the dangers of unlabeled products. In 2015, the Department of Health urged the public to check food expiration dates and avoid unlabeled products due to recent food poisoning incident in Mindanao. Former DOH spokesperson Dr. Lyndon Lee Sui emphasized the importance of proper date identification, especially for perishable items and holiday promo products. Avoid unlabeled products at all costs. So in this news clipping, it tells about the popular chocolates. So the DTI Assistant Secretary or Consumer Protection Group Attorney Ann Clear Cabochan told the public that selling scrap chocolate is prohibited. She explained that the product do not have proper packaging that has been approved by the FDA. Meanwhile, here is the FDA public warning about a particular product. So the agency has issued a public warning to healthcare professional and the general public about an unregistered food product, unlabeled, unbranded rack sugar. So the FDA has verified that the product is not registered and no corresponding certificate of product registration has been issued. So the agency cannot assure the quality and safety of the product as it has not undergone an FDA evaluation process. If there are products that has no label, there are also food products that has incomplete label. This also flourish on the supermarket, wet market, sari-sari store, terminals, or even at the pasalubong centers where family buy food as a treat for their family or loved ones. Take a look in this slide. So these are examples of food products with incomplete label. First picture, the chicharon with an empty white box. The net weight is indicated, but no lot number and expiration date. Second picture and this third picture, it contains only the brand name and product name. Fourth example, the chicharon has brand name only. And the next picture or the last picture, which is the longanisa, the product name, brand name, LTO number, and the storage condition was specified. From the given example, only 1 to 5 label information was mentioned. How are we sure that these products are still safe to consume since most of this has no expiration date indicated? Who will be accountable if food poisoning occur if there is no name and address of the manufacturer stated in the label? So what batch to recall if there is no lot identification? So this is necessary in terms of traceability. If the product is made of, especially if the product is made of pork, so there is the threat of African swine flu virus that can collapse the swine industry here in the Philippines. That is why it is necessary to have a complete label information, specifically the mandatory label information stated in AO number 2014-0030. Okay. Before we go give the mandatory label information, let us first explain the importance of food labels. First is the nutrition or a dietary advice. Okay. Customers are more invested than ever before in nutritional information, especially as the number of food-related diseases and health problems are on the rise. So therefore, many people opt for more nutritious alternative and should be made aware of the nutrition and dietary information of all food items they purchase. Next is allergen. People with food allergies can suffer potentially serious consequences if they consume food they are allergic to. So they must be very cautious about the food they eat. If someone accidentally ingests food they are allergic to, it can cause an allergic reaction or in some cases, be severe and life-threatening. Therefore, it is vital that you are aware of the name allergens and what information you are legally required to include on your food packaging. Next importance of food label is the production. So production details might include information on whether the food is halal, kosher, organic, and free range. So many people are invested in how their food is prepared, whether it will be religious or cultural or ethical reasons, including information about the production method of your product can help users make informed decisions about which product they would like to consume. Now, let's proceed to the different mandatory label information stated according to AO number 2014-0030. First, on the list is the product name of the food. It should be or shall be specific, not generic, and shall indicate the true nature of the food. Second on the list is the use of brand name or trademark. Brand name refers to the appropriated by the manufacturer, repacker, distributor, traders, or importer to distinguish its product in the market. If an establishment has registered brand name or trademark, it shall be mandatory for the holder or owner of the same to indicate such correct brand name or trademark in the labels of its products, but may not be declared if the product will be used for further processing. Next is the complete list of ingredients. So the complete list of ingredients shall be declared in descending order of proportion of either the principal display panel or information panel of the label. Next is the net content. So the net content shall be declared using the metric system of measurement or SI. For liquid food, it's by volume. For solid foods, by weight. So in this example, food packed in liquid medium normally discarded before consumption shall carry a declaration of drained weight. In this example, the net weight of pineapple slice is 227 grams, while the drain weight is 137 grams. Okay, let's proceed to the name and address of the manufacturer. So repacker, packer, importer, trader, or distributor of the goods shall be declared on the label of locally manufactured products. Lot identification code. On the next slide, we will discuss this. So it's a specific code indicating food produced during a period of time and under more or less the same manufacturing condition. It shall be embossed or otherwise permanently marked individually on the immediate packages or containers. So last 2014, a food company recalled their cracker nut products due to aflatoxin. So through the lot identification code, the specific batch of the said product was recalled in the market. For products that need special condition or special storage condition other than normal room, the storage condition shall be printed clearly and on all product label or labeling. Next, expiration dates shall be printed clearly on product labels in the following order: day, month, year. So the declaration of day and year are numerical, while the declaration of months must be in words to avoid confusion. Another mandatory label information is the food allergen information. Food allergen serves as a warning to consumer with hypersensitivity to certain ingredients like milk, eggs, fish, and nuts. Direction or instruction shall also be printed where applicable as necessary to ensure correct utilization of the foods. In this example, it shows the correct it shows the cooking instruction of rice when using the rice cooker. Last mandatory label information is the nutrition facts. It shall be printed in tabulated form. All nutrients shall be declared in relation to the average or usual serving in terms of slices, pieces, or a specified weight or volume. So the declaration of nutrients can also be expressed in either in unit per serving or percentage RENI or both. Carbohydrates, protein, sugar, and dietary fiber shall be expressed in grams. The energy values is expressed in calories, while vitamins are expressed in milligrams. Trans fat, as mentioned by Ms. Anjin Cabrera, are unsaturated fatty acid that come from either natural or industrial sources. So this can cause heart disease, increase LDL cholesterol, lower HDL cholesterol, obesity, and cancer. Through nutrition facts, the consumer is informed of the nutritional content of the food they eat. In the conclusion, it is crucial to prioritize food safety when consuming unlabeled processed or upcycled products. Consumers, producers, and government officials must work together to ensure that the products are safe for consumption. Lastly, proper labeling, quality control, and government intervention are necessary steps to achieve this goal. That's the end of my presentation. For if you want to know more about the topic, kindly take a screenshot of the references posted on your screen. Another list of references. With that, thank you for listening.
Okay. So let's give Miss Shani a virtual clap for a very interesting presentation. I must say that it is very alarming that there are many products out in the market without proper labeling. Hopefully, some of our participants would apply what you have taught us today on what are the mandatory requirements for labeling. And now, I will present to you the last speaker for session 3. Our speaker for food safety of unlabeled products, upcycled products in China market is Miss Minli Yao. Miss Minli is a graduate of Food Science and Engineering from Fujian Agriculture and Forestry University. She is currently a teacher at Guangzhou Guang Vocational College, teaching about nutrition, diet, and health management. She just recently enrolled and currently taking up classes on English language, and with just a few months of learning, she has shown dedication and eagerness on learning the language. So all the way from China, let us all welcome Miss Min Liao. Go ahead, Miss Min Li. You can present now. Miss Min Li.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. The topic of my speech for the safety, for unlabeled production, China. One, scientific essence of food labeling. Two, the situation of unlabeled production in the Chinese market. Three, effects of unlabeled foods. Four, effects consequences of unmarketed products related to food loss and waste. Food is to meet the needs of people for nutrition to ensure people's health. In China since the 1980s, because part of enterprise to make money, so the product is not in accordance with the national food nutrition label management norms. So not labeled in the product make food safety problems become increasingly prominent, has to a certain extent affected the food market order and the image in the heart, such causing economic losses and serious food waste. Next. Specifications of food labeling. Food labels refers to words, graphics, symbols, and all information on pre-packaged food containers. The Ministry of Health of China ensured the food munition labeling management code on December 18, 2007. Article 3, the term food marker, as mentioned in this provisions, refers to the general term of the words, symbols, figures, patterns, and other explanation of the name, quality, grade of the food, the quantity of the food, the method of consumption of use, and the patents and other relevant information of the product producer or seller. Through the implementation of food nutrition labeling rules, it can promote the scientific composition of food components and the rationalization of food processing technology, ensure the guidance and reference of food nutrition content labeling, and provide consumers with scientific food nutrition data, so as to guide consumers to correct diet consumption. The situation of unlabeled products in the Chinese bulk food from the supermarket, small family workshops, milk tea drinks, imported product, illegal product. Food safely for unlabeled product. The name of the food, the production date of production, the batch number, the expiration date, the name, address, and the contact in the information of the producer or operator are not indicated in the container of a smaller supermarket. Next, small family workshops. Family small workshops are mostly no production date, safe life, no quality standards of three, no product. Safety is not guaranteed. If the extract repeats or have a substance harmful to human health, such as politics and other harmful substances, it is not suitable for direct use in cooking. Tea drinks, university campuses, and night markets can be seen everywhere in stores selling ceremonied milk tea drinks without the production date and effective date. Consumers only focus on taste and price, not on the label of food. Imported product. Article 1977 of the Food Safety Law of the People's Republic of China imported pre-packaged food and food additive have Chinese labels. Where there should be a menu in accordance with the law, there should also be a menu in Chinese. The labels and the guidance shall comply with the provisions of this law and other relevant laws and the administrative regulations of our country and the requirements of the national standard for food safety, and indicate the origin of the food and the name, address, and the contact information of the domestic agent. Next. Illegal product. In 2023, CCTV 315 party, the exposure of the blacklist flavored rice, a rice company in Anhui province, through flavored breading. The name is Thai fragile rice, Thai sam king, and other ways to impersonate Thai fragrant rice. Rice is local and has nothing to do with Thai fragrant rice. Essence is synthetic chemical substance, and the harm to the human body should not be underestimate. Effect can question of unmarketed products related to food loss and waste. Unlabeled food, because it is not known that the use by date of the food and the change in nutritional composition will have impact on human health, such as spoiled food leads to people's position. It has a serious negative impact on the environment, research, and ecology. The food produced that is not labeled and ultimately waste not only occupies a large amount of natural resources, but also wastes the method and greenhouse gas emissions, causing serious economical losses. For prominent problems in food safety in China, there are many problems in field of food production and processing industry. Our understanding performance for the food production enterprise are many small scattered disordered. About 70% of the more than 1 million food production units are small family workshops with less than 10 people, and most of them do not have the necessary conditions for production quality food. The food circulation order is relatively cake occurred. There are more than 3 million food enterprises in China, most of which are individual businesses lacking necessary facility and backward management. Some food wholesale markets lack effective safety testing means and quality control measures, so that counterfeiters can take advantage of it and even become fake and salty food distribution and centers. Some enterprise for selfish gain deliberately sell expired and deteriorate retail. Food permanent repeatedly banned. Illegal food producers and marketers often forge and abuse labels to deceive and mislead consumers. Three, food safety work in rural areas is relatively weak. Illegal elements often sell fake and inferior food to rural markets and small shops, and farmers are easy to buy the fake and salted products. When they buy the food and suffer losses in the Fuyang milk powders incident, right and insisting of farmers suffered the most direct and serious harm. The problem of inconsistence basis dangerous in the supervision of food safety law enforcement also hurts the ensure system of production in rural areas. This leads to a much more significant waste of food. For food safety issues have affected China's international food trade. Recently, continuous minimal reports on food safety cases such as Fuyang milk powder, local farms, and Sichuan kitchen have attracted a series of patients from Japan, the United States, and other countries, and Hong Kong and Macau, special administrative regions and restrictions have been taken successfully. Next. From these several cases can be obvious. Food, if there is no clear label or safety label, not only cause serious harm to human body, and the government will also have corresponding publishment, and the second destruction could have been through the corresponding covalence legal weight. We can see a lot of economic losses, and unnecessary waste of food is serious. How to avoid waste and loss from unlabeled food? The government said formulate corresponding policies, regulate the production and operate of enterprise. For example, the relevant provision of China's food safety law impose corresponding policies on enterprise once they violate regulations. It can reduce food waste caused by illegal business operations. Enterprise should enhance their business philosophy and constantly study production technology and food packaging technology, which can avoid illegal operations such as unlabeled and illegal label instructions. Food packaging solution that help extend safe life and reduce food waste. Consumers should establish a correct consumption concept and do not buy too much food separately, resulting in food waste. Reverse. Thank you everyone listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Minli, for that very informative discussion of unlabeled products in China. If we have here in the Philippines, AO 2014-0030, the revised rules and regulations governing the label of prepackaged food products as discussed earlier. In China, they have the Food Nutrition Labeling Management Code of 2007, issued by the Ministry of Health of China, which has the provisions for food products to have labels that include name of the product, the quantity, the method of consumption, and etc. This shows that regardless of which country we are in, there are rules and regulations on proper labeling intended foremost to protect the safety of the consumers. Though it is good to know as well that their food safety law now imposes corresponding penalties on enterprises once they violate regulations. With this, I hope we have learned a lot from Ms. Minli, all the way from China. So again, thank you so much to our speakers for sharing their expertise about their topics. Food waste really is now a major concern, not only here in the Philippines, but around the world. Having knowledge in food safety to combat food wastage and food loss would be, of course, an advantage. It is also very exciting to know that there are new emerging technologies converting food waste to another product. A brilliant idea, if I may say so. So we shall now proceed to the question and answer portion of our webinar. For Zoom participants, just type your question in the chat box. For YouTube and FB Live viewers, please type your question in the comment section. So while waiting for the questions of our participants, let me check the numbers of our viewers. As of the count, we have how many YouTube viewers? 110. And Facebook Live viewers, we have 120. So for the question answer portion, I will be starting off with question from... Okay. This is from our viewer from FB, Miss Vicky Paz Amat. Is there any organization that can teach us how to use technology to recycle food waste? So this is directed to Sir Mark. Mark, can you please answer the question, please?
Yes, Ma'am Ellie. Thank you so much for that wonderful question. So, is there any organization that can teach us how to use technology to recycle food waste? So, actually, I can provide you three. So, first, I could recommend reaching out to our government under this one, specifically the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. So I believe they have information about initiatives or program related to waste management and recycling, including food waste. Second, I could also recommend reaching out to a international organization which also have more information regarding globally technologies, which I could give you the United Nations Environmental Program, or the UNEP. So, and lastly, for the non-government organization, you could also reach out to a local chapter of Global Alliance for Incinerator Alternatives. They might provide workshop, training programs, or resources related to food waste recycling. To reach them, just visit their website, no-burn.com. I hope that answered your question, Ma'am Vicky. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Mark. So there is another query here. Is there a law here in the Philippines about food waste reduction? Ma'am Crisel, can you assist on this?
Thank you, Miss Ellie, for that question. During my research I have crossed one law and one Senate bill here in the Philippines about food waste reduction. First is the Food Donation Act of 2009. What I know about this is the government should implement ways to encourage the donation of wholesome or good foods for charitable purposes. Then the other one is the proposed bill in the Senate, which is the Zero Food Waste of 2022. This is currently being deliberated and hopefully will be passed into law. Included in this law is raising awareness and waste reduction strategies. So that's it for Ma'am Ellie. At least we have two laws which are tackling food waste reduction here in the Philippines. Thank you.
Okay, Ma'am Crisel. Another follow-up question. How does food waste affect the environment? I think most of the questions are for Ma'am Crisel. Again, Ma'am Crisel?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, Ma'am Ellie, for that another question. As I mentioned earlier po in my discussion, most of the food waste goes to the landfill. So, according to what I have read, food waste emits greenhouse gases when they rot in the landfill. So, the greenhouse gas that they emit is methane. So, we know that the greenhouse gases are the major cause of global warming and climate change. With this, food waste can be somehow considered as one of the causes of climate change. So that's how food waste can affect the environment. I hope that this answered the question. Thank you, Miss Ellie.
Okay. Thank you again. Thank you, dear speakers, for gracing us with the answers to the questions raised by our audiences. For those who have posted questions that were not answered due to time constraint, we will revert back to your queries through email. And for those who are requesting a copy of the speaker's presentation, kindly drop us an email and request as to which topic you wanted a copy of the presentation. You can email us at 2022 t0070@pwu.edu.ph. We will type that in the chat box. Okay, before we end this day, let's assess our learnings by participating in our short activity for today. Take it away, Sir Ryan.
All right. Now we're back to our third and last activity for today. Okay, so let's assess our understanding of what we just discussed in the session 3 presentation. All you have to do is click on the link in the comment section or scan the QR code and place your real nickname and join now. Okay, so again, the top 3 participants who will be at the top leaderboards will receive special prizes for today. Top 1 will receive 300, top 2 will receive 200, and top 3 will get 100 pesos. Okay, so screenshot your winning and send it to my FB Messenger account as a receipt. Okay, some of the winners already sent their screenshot and I will address to you later. Okay, so remember, only 100 participants can enter our Kahoot. So what are you waiting for, your guys? Scan the code now. Okay. So while waiting for you guys, I wanna share of my favorite insights that I learned from today. I was reminded that loss in food quality is already a food loss. In a food supply chain, everyone really plays a big role in keeping the food at its optimum eating state. So this is a lifelong challenge for us, being food technologists or food scientists, to educate and train our countrymen for us to have a food secured nation. Okay, so are are we ready? So let's wait for the Kahoot, guys. So again, top 1 will receive 300 pesos, top 2 will get 200 pesos, and top 3 will get 100 pesos. Okay, are you having fun, guys, with our Kahoot? Some of you already won. May pang-load na po. Hindi na po sayang. Okay, so let's wait for another minutes for the Kahoot account. Okay. Let's wait for another couple of minutes. So while we're waiting, let me read the winners, no, from the previous Kahoot. Okay, so we have a winner from Okay, so we have a winner from previous Kahoot. We have Paula Cristina, Raymart Alconera, Arlene Gonzalez, Christine Gemina Pabon. And another one, we have Pei Geminia. Okay, so okay, it's started already. Okay, so question number 2, it refers to a value-added surplus product. Okay, question number 2, it refers to a value-added surplus product. Red, bodybuilding food. Blue, energy-giving food. Orange, protective food. And green, upcycled food. Okay, so we have Roxy, no, as a top scorer for the second question. Now let's proceed for the third question. Nutrition packs shall be presented in blank. Okay, nutrition packs shall be presented in blank. Red, histogram form. Blue, graphical form. Orange, linear form. Or green, tabular form. Okay, nutrition pack shall be presented in blank. Okay, so the answer is tabular form. Okay, so our scoreboard leader is still Roxy. Okay, followed by RM. Okay, for our fourth question, we have multiple choice. So this economic model focuses on reducing, reusing, and recycling food waste within a closed loop system. Red, reuse economy. Blue, linear economy. Orange, circular economy. And green, recycle economy. Okay, so the right answer is circular economy. Okay, so still Roxy is our leading scorer. For the fifth questions, fill in the blank. Our food system cannot be blank if they are not sustainable. Our food system cannot be blank if they are not sustainable. Red, resilient. Blue, flexible. Orange, strong. Or green, adaptable. Okay, so the right answer is resilient. So now we have a new top scorer, it's Sakura. No, humabol na po si Sakura. Okay, let's go to the next question, ma'am. Okay, sixth question is true or false. True or false? Food loss happens when we discard food that's still fit for human consumption, either before or after it spoils. True or false? Food loss happens when we discard food that is still fit for human consumption, either before or after it spoils. Is it true or false? Okay, so the right answer is blue. False, sorry. Nalilito na ako. Okay, so our scoreboard leader still Sakura. Okay, so for the 7 questions, more foods are lost and wasted in developed countries, higher income countries, compared to developing countries or lower income countries. Is it true or false? More foods are lost and wasted in developed countries, higher income countries, compared to developing lower income countries. Blue, true. Red, false. Okay? So, our questions are very interesting. Di ba? So, our correct answer is blue. It's true. Okay? So, is there any changes in our scoreboard? Okay, Sakura is still the number one. And for the 8 questions, it's multiple choice. Okay, so alam nyo na to. How much food is lost or wasted? Blank of all food product produced. Red, 1/5. Blue, 1/4. Orange, 1/3. Or green, 1/2. Okay, so alam nyo na to. Ayan, so the correct answer is 1/3. Okay, so is there any changes? Okay, wala pa rin. So Sakura, no, is still our number one. For the ninth question, it refers to the traditional way in which the focus is primarily on producing, consuming, and disposing of products. Red, reuse economy. Blue, linear economy. Orange, circular economy. Or green, recycle economy. It refers to the traditional way in which it focuses in primarily producing, consuming, and disposing of products. So the right answer is linear economy. Okay, so I think, okay, so still Sakura is the top scorer. So habol pa Sam and Cha, City and me. For the last questions of our Kahoot for today will be multiple choice. Okay, so it refers to a method on food waste using heat to transform waste into value-added products. It refers to a method on food waste using heat to transform waste into value-added products. Is it biotechnological method, chemical method, enzymatic method, or thermal method? Okay, so the right answer is thermal method. Okay, so there you have it, guys. Our top scorer is Sakura, followed by Sam and Cha. Congratulations for the topping board and being the most active participants for today. Sabay-sabay tayong mag-sana all winner. But it's not the end of the fun. Tomorrow, we will have more activities in store for you. Back to you, Ma'am Ellie.
Okay. What a fun way, sir. Sana all nga po winner. Again, for our participants in this webinar, please be reminded to fill out the evaluation form that will be sent later in our chat boxes from Facebook and YouTube Live. Take note that only participants who will successfully accomplish these evaluation forms will be given e-certificate after the end of our sessions. Please be reminded that you have until 7 p.m. to complete these forms. Please do not forget to evaluate us for further improvement of the webinars. Your e-certificates will be forwarded once you finish the evaluation. Okay, so right now, I would like to acknowledge the webinar presenters for sharing their knowledge and expertise through awarding of Certificate of Appreciation. So today, we are honored to receive the Certificate of Appreciation from Dr. Menchita F. Dumlao. She is a visionary leader, an esteemed educator, and a dedicated advocate for research, ethics, and technological innovation. Dr. Dumlao exemplifies excellence in both scholarship and leadership. Dr. Dumlao, please proceed with the awarding of the Certificate of Appreciation to our speakers.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. And congratulations to all the presenters and organizers. It is my pleasure to present the Certificate of Appreciation to the names that I will mention in grateful recognition of their contribution as resource speaker during the webinar series, Convergence and Divergence of Food Science and Food Safety. Given this 5th day of October 2023, at the Philippine Women's University, Manila, Philippines. Signed, Dr. Maria Ligayati Braganza, Program Chair of School of Food Science and Technology. So let me call the names. Miss Maria Fe Teres Malyari. Okay. And then next, Miss Johnny S. Palafox, Miss Emily Salvador, Miss Anjean Ledes P. Cabrera, Miss April Joy A. Genoguin, Mr. Eddie Boy D. Navarro, Miss Crizel Ann A. Loria, Mr. Mark Samuel Fontamillas, Miss Dara Lee L. Robes, Miss Shani Irish L. Robes, Miss Minley Yao. Okay, I think that was the last.
Yes, Doctor.
Okay,
Thank you so
thank you
much,
and
Dr. Dumlao.
congratulations.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dumlao. On behalf of all the organizers, we thank you for your presence today. We appreciate you supporting us on this webinar. Thank you so much and God bless po. So now, I would also like to grab this opportunity to invite everyone for a photo session. May we request everyone to be on camera and pose for a while as we capture each panel. Sir Mark, can you please? Thank you again, Dr.
Hi, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Dumlao.
Thank you
God
po.
bless. Bye-bye.
Ganda niyo
Thank you so much.
Ma'am, sa uulitin mo.
Oh, meron pa bukas.
And that ends the day one of our webinar on convergence and divergence of food science and food safety. I hope each and every one of us learned a lot from our technical talks the whole day. Reminder for our participants, kindly fill up the attendance and evaluation forms that we have posted already at our chat boxes. So please do not forget to evaluate our speakers. Your comments and suggestions are welcome reminders for our improvement. We will see you guys tomorrow, October 6th, for the exciting second day of our webinar where we will be discussing food safety culture. What is it all about? See you all guys. Bye and God bless. Bye.